Yep, Film Vault. Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Bryan Bishop, your host for today. Top 5 cultured villains. A really great list.
Why, Bryan? Why? Bryan has been patting himself on the back about this list all week long, just sending me texts like, so many to choose from. Am I right? This is a great list. True?
That's called backselling. Top 5 cultured villains coming up, sophisticated bad guys, and of course, some Flickfessions, an assignment from Anderson, an assignment from a listener, and the Hitman. I think it's just Hitman will be talked about by us.
Yeah, we got 4 movies to Flickfest, so we got to get after this. Unless you want to kick Coffee Table down the road, because that one was not assigned.
That was assigned to me.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't assigned by a listener, so
yeah, but I'm mine are piling up like derailed train cars. So let's get on these.
All right. Well, I mean, you were late, so we only have so much time.
That's true.
All right. We should say that we're recording this remote too. And once again, something came up, life related. I guess Bryan has to go to a second grade graduation, which I feel for you, Bryan. I'm not blaming you for that. You're not the one who decided that we should all have a graduation for every goddamn elementary school year that goes by.
It's wild.
That didn't exist when I was a kid, and that was not all that long ago. But
my parents
times are changing.
Didn't show up to my high school graduation because they said, "Hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. Like everyone should graduate from high school. We'll show up to the college graduation." Let alone like the junior high graduation or anything like that. Now I'm not saying that, Bryan, hey, if I was in your shoes, I would absolutely go as well. And like my wife put it, she's like, anytime you have a chance to like celebrate your kid at this age, you do it. So it's just, I think it's that the school is to the parents come and say, you know what? Graduating from 6th grade and then junior high and then high school is not enough. We need it every year.
Maybe because, yeah, I have vague recollections of 8th grade graduation. I don't think we even had an elementary school 5th grade graduation. So this is a whole new world.
I know that we did for 6th grade. I remember we had to learn Whitney Houston.
Or 8th grade, I guess.
Was 6th grade. Because that was the end of elementary school when I was a kid, and we had to learn. Was it Stevie Wonder? Let me tell you, children of the future, but it didn't let them lead the way. I think she remade it though.
Oh, we learned I guess a parody version of "Moving On Up to the East Side," the Jeffersons, and it was "Moving on up, you're finally on your way to junior high." And even as a child, I went, "This is terrible.
Yeah.
this is not good."
But the parents absolutely sucked it up with a giant.
Oh, just camcorders, camcorders glowing.
No human faces to be seen from the audience. Just camcorders held up to eyes.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get to the show.
What are the people seeing?
Ooh, a little fanfliction.
Here we go.
We're going to be we should be getting a date very soon. I'm sorry. There's been a mix-up. There's been back and forth, lots and lots of back and forth with the TCL theaters, or the Chinese theaters, I should say. And we should have a date. Guys, I wanted a date like back in like April or May so that I could let you guys know that it might be coming from out of town. I don't even know if it's going to 100%, if it's going to happen. I can only send so many emails and go back and forth and bug people. I'm not good at bugging people. I hate bugging people, especially if they're doing us a favor. So that's kind of where we're at. Avery, I should talk to you and Florence about this off air because I know you guys wanted to coordinate as well for that. I'm talking about the live Film Vault show. Long time coming. We might have to push it down. I don't know. Maybe we do it. I don't know. We'll talk.
Do late July. We'll figure it out.
I'm going to be gone late July now. It looks like so. We'll figure something out.
That is troubling.
Yes. All right, let's go.
All right.
Maybe early August.
Find me.
People will be around.
People that are coming in with kids though. Kids go back to school like August 11th or 13th or something insane now. It's crazy. Used to be September, and now everyone goes back to school in August. All right, let's get back to the show. Sorry.
Fanfliction. Compiled by Mike Cole.
Oh my.
Skadoosh it on Reddit. Hitman on Netflix. I went in blind, not knowing anything about it, and was pleasantly surprised. It was a delightful film that really reminded me of Bernie from 2012, which I guess shouldn't be surprising when I see the end credits and Richard Linklater's name popped up. Would have liked a little more. Liked a little more if they made it with if they made the unlikable cop more so, to tie up the movie, but in the end, it really wrapped up nicely with a lot of twists I didn't see coming. Glenn Powell's performance was fantastic in this film. 4.5 out of 5 Bald Bryans.
Hey.
Ken Cunningham on Facebook. Hitman. Very well-made Netflix movie. Beautiful people, low stakes, kind of fun. Didn't really move the needle. There we go. For me at all, 3 stars. Oh, Ken.
I take
Jesus.
issue with the no stakes part because there was about people living and dying.
There were some pretty high things. Devon Miller on Instagram. Devon Miller. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Martin Lawrence has some funny moments, and there's some decent action, but nothing we haven't seen before. Nice to see Rhea Seehorn for Better Call Saul, but she didn't have much to do other than scowl. 3.5 stars. David J on Reddit, Bad Boys Ride or Die. I suggest die over sitting through this substandard action flick.
Wow.
Oh,
I feel like it's a high price to pay for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's true. Speaking about high stakes, I mean, those stakes
pretty high.
Pretty high for a 2-hour commitment.
Pretty high. Lord Longshadow on Instagram, In a Violent Nature. There were some very cool and bloody scenes here, but not enough to fill the runtime, including the worst ending I have seen this year.
That one's sticking around the theaters longer than I thought it would have.
Yeah, well, Cody Horton also saw it on Facebook. In a Violent Nature, story didn't quite land, but got close. Some beautiful scenery and gruesome kills. A nasty movie for nasty times. Yeah, I'm thinking about seeing it. I don't know. He also saw Stop Motion. 1 part stop motion, 3 parts psychological horror. A bit arduous, but a tremendous achievement. And lastly, Rafa de Gama, 11 on Reddit. Alice in the Cities. What a delight. Great relationship between the 2 leads and beautifully shot. I was transported to all the locales. I think the boys undersold it a bit. Having just seen Perfect Days on a flight a few days earlier, the timing was perfect.
I think we sold that pretty good considering.
They did pretty well.
People are either
Yeah,
going to love that movie
sold.
or be like, not really my style, but no one's going to say it's just awful. No one will say that.
Sure.
Well, I got a quick sell before next week that
Thank
I think
you.
most people should see.
Nick Eats Cake for assigning us that movie. Yes.
What is
I
it?
think the general populace, the film vultures at large, and I think Anderson included, maybe the bald one. I think if you like Tiger King, there's a new, maybe better Tiger King out there. It's on HBO, and it's called Ren Fair. It's been pitched to me as Succession, but with taking over a Renaissance fair in Texas. It is documentary style, very cinematic, only 3 episodes, so 3 hours total of your time. It's basically a long documentary, and there are characters galore.
But it's not a documentary.
It is a documentary.
So it's documentary style, but cinematic.
Correct. It's
You can't
almost
say that documentary is documentary style because that's misleading.
No, it's not documentary style. It's a documentary that is shot like a film
Yeah.
in a way that I haven't really seen before. It's
Gotcha.
very cinematic, and it is extremely enjoyable. Every single character in here. I have not seen this many characters since Tiger King.
HBO has been pushing
driven.
it hard towards me, and so I've seen the poster and I scowl and in anger.
Yeah,
and
because it looks horrible.
Don't tell me on things. I'll find it. I'll have my friend Avery tell me about it.
It's
right?
It is. There's a lot. I'm only, to be fair, I'm only 1 episode in, but there's only 3, and it has me.
You got to settle down. This is what everyone
it has
does.
me hooked.
Everyone hooked. They see something and it's TV and it's new and they're like, we gotta talk about it. I understand. We got to galvanize. And I realize that the errors of my ways. Like, of course, people are going to market things, and I understand. I just don't like it when it's misleading and they're suggesting that HBO thinks that you will like this. So it's like, well, my mom's got the exact same thing you're suggesting, and I think her algorithm's a little bit different. So I don't buy your fucking algorithms, guys. I think you're just pushing what you want to push. That's what I was getting angry about. But yeah,
So
everyone needs to settle down with new TV. And I get that, like in the olden days, like the water cooler shows where like people would all be watching Carson the night before, and then they, oh yeah, you see that on Carson last night? You see when they had Burt Reynolds on? That was pretty good, right? And then everyone knows, right? Because everyone was talking about the same stuff. And I think that we still yearn for that. So when there is a new show, everyone's like, gotta watch it. Perhaps it's good. Maybe it's Chernobyl.
This is like a hippie white trash thespians, and it is a combination I've never seen before. It is enjoyable.
I will say the Renaissance Fair in general is rife for this kind of thing.
Oh, and Brian, this might sell you. One of the main characters drives a massive pickup truck, and his license plate is bald one. So
Nice.
What?
So you
You're
might
gonna
be
have a
in.
license plate.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Avery. We'll
Thank
circle
you, Mike
back
Cole.
once that has been completed, I guess. Yeah. Once we've all seen it. Once all 3 episodes have been seen.
Yeah, I think it's worth diving in and potentially talking about next week, since it's 3 hours is a lot more approachable than the usual like 8 or 9 that they throw your way.
All right. Bri.
So to be fair, you could have sat on that for a week and given a full talk, but you had to.
Well, I
say,
wanted
hey,
to wait
I'm
because
on
I
the
wanted
third of the way into this, and it's great.
I wanted to get people on the train now, so we could Flickfest together in real time, get it to the people sooner rather than later, just like I preempted Hitman. Little Hitman.
I understand that point, especially with the Hitman. Can't say I agree with it, but I understand it. No, I get it. Like, yeah, it was a good show. It just started up. People are going to be talking about it around that water cooler. Water cooler's gone. Galvanizing TV gone. Both. Well, actually, no.
This is one of them.
Fox News and the CNN, which galvanizes a whole lot of people. The tribe.
That's true.
God
The
damn it.
aforementioned Hitman is a film that is on Netflix, 2024 film, directed by Richard Linklater, the aforementioned, and written by Linklater, and Glenn Powell gets writing credit on this movie, starring Glenn Powell, Adria Arjona, Austin Amilo, and Retta. She's known as Retta Anderson. 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I said, this is streamed on Netflix for Netflix subscribers. I noticed at the end, did you notice it was executive produced by Jason Bateman?
Yeah, I saw a couple recognizable names there at the end. I think Powell also was one of the EPs. Could be wrong.
I wonder if this was one of those projects that was, sometimes you'll see, I couldn't find if this is true or not, but if an actor, a big actor like a Jason Bateman, is attached, but then later falls out, they'll sometimes retain like EP credit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I developed this movie. I got it
Interesting.
made.
I would think not, because the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this is such a vehicle for Glenn Powell. It's like Glenn Powell's coming out party. Like, look, I can stretch. I can do all these different characters.
Yes.
I can character actor, and I'm not just a leading man, because I think that he's afraid of getting the leading man. He's like, I am not just a poor man's version of Bradley Cooper, even though that's still what I am. But like, here I'm coming for your lunch, Bradley Cooper. That's kind of what this felt like.
And Ryan Reynolds. And Ryan Reynolds, too.
Ryan Reynolds has not nearly the range.
Gosling, I mean. Coming out of Gosling.
And it looked like it was a whole lot of fun. But I don't know if Bateman, I don't think Bateman could do half of what Powell pulls off in this one. And this is
It's not hot enough.
Is watching Glenn Powell be charismatic and fun and be a character actor and play dress up, essentially, effectively.
Yeah, I was thinking about this in retrospect after I saw that credit, and I was like, what if Jason Bateman was in this movie? I'm like, that'd be horrible. This is like Glenn Powell's movie.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to figure out what it would be like, but I think this is just a theory that you have. And
yeah, it was totally. My mind was wandering.
We're just shitting on Bateman for no reason.
Who knows why?
Speaking of Bateman, what's his face? Glenn Powell does a spot on Patrick Bateman from American Psycho at one point when he's doing one of his many characters. He does a real Patrick Bateman, like almost like an impression.
Which character was that?
The wearing the suit and very smug and self-assured.
That's the one when he was talking to the kid. You know what? The kid not coming back was kind of a letdown for me. Like, that was just an open. I thought for sure that was going to come back into the story.
So, okay, so let's talk about it. So Hitman is called Hitman because I think you alluded to it last week. Glenn Powell plays a sort of, he's a pseudo cop. He's a cop. He helps the New Orleans PD.
He helps the cops with tech on the side. He's a science teacher. He's a psychology, like, human
professor
and professor, like human emotions and what he's some kind of
philosophy professor.
He's like an adjunct professor.
I don't know if it's philosophy.
I think it's actually said that's philosophy.
I think it just suits the story that he knows about. It gets deep into, like, who are we really as people? Like, let's look inward. I think what is it? Social
assimilation.
But then he makes
sociology. You're talking about
sociology. Thank you. Guys, I shouldn't even talk on this show. I should be quiet. I
minored in sociology.
My dream.
Quitting a part of my nicotine.
So all the jocks did.
And my brain isn't working properly. I'm very affected by it, and I'm trying my best. But my head.
Are you sleep deprived?
A little bit, but it's more just about not doing the stupid vape that I was hopelessly addicted to. I shouldn't say hopelessly, because here I am like 5 days in without touching it. But yeah, I'm not sharp. I'm usually not sharp, but I'm duller than normal.
I'm dumb dull.
Oh boy.
But
Okay,
anyways, yeah,
so back to the hitman thing. So he assists the New Orleans PD with these sting operations where he poses as a hitman for hire, and people, say, "Hey, I want you to kill my wife," or whatever. Don't get that drop, whatever. And he will turn out and meet them, take the money, and catch them in a scheme, and they will get prosecuted, and they win the day.
And what, yeah,
so
so he helps with the surveillance part of it and the technology part of it at first, and then one thing leads to another, and now he finds himself in a position where he's actually going and meeting these would-be Johns,
Yes.
killing Johns, right? Is what
Yes,
the-
he's doing. You're right. He's
killing-
doing the surveillance,
killing John.
recording, and then he's pressed into duty one day as the actual posing as the hitman.
and he's very nebbish, unsure of himself. He doesn't have much of a self-esteem.
Not much presence.
And there's a lot of like on the nose stuff, like his cats are named Ego and Id. And they walk us down as an audience. They really take us down the psychology path by explaining what the ego is and the id, as well as what's the
super ego.
Super ego. Thank you, Barbara.
And at that point, I was not sold.
No,
I was not digging it.
but
there were parts of the movie that were not great. Like, yes, it was very heavy-handed, going back to the classroom setting over and over again. Where it's like, yes, he's explaining to his students effectively the conflict that is going on in his own mind.
And then it opens up with, this is mostly based on a true story or something along those lines.
So they claim.
There's a lot of liberties being taken. And you got to realize that every time you see any movie that's based on a true story, there's a ton of liberties. And I really appreciate they go above and beyond to be as accurate as possible. They let you know right off the bat that they're not trying to be accurate with this one, to the point that we won't talk about the end here. And I don't think this is worthy of a spoiler discussion, but I mean, the climax of the movie is absolute BS, which they let you know in the epilogue. This is, like I said at the top, and I don't think we need to talk any more about the storyline or anything like that, because it's a good plane. It's like an elevated plane movie is what this is, or elevated.
Yeah, this is a solid 3-star movie all day. Like it's enjoyable, it's disposable, it's not trying for too much.
3-star plus because of Glenn Powell and seeing what because Glenn's we've seen him play like the cool guy, like the ultra confident, cocky, cool guy.
I seen the Twisters trailer.
You don't face your fears, you ride them.
Oh man,
see him play all these different characters, and you could tell it was a lot of fun. Now I kept having to remind myself every time I would get really annoyed that I was watching this second-rate straight. It felt like a straight out of film school with a budget movie, and then I'm like, oh wait, Linklater is directing this, and then I'm like, oh wait, Linklater has done this vibe before with Bernie, and which is the listener brought up, which is spot on, because it definitely had the same vibe as Bernie, which was also based on a true story with some not so likable characters that involve murder and death and comedy. That was with Jack Black and was it Shirley MacLaine? Yeah, so familiar territory. Familiar territory here, but like I said, and maybe you guys agree or disagree, it's all about Glenn Powell's different, and even that got a little. I mean, there was one, I think, person that he dressed up like that was in one scene. It was almost like a cameo, and it was a short scene, and it's just like, look at all these different makeup jobs, and he can do different accents, and
he's doing a little Tommy Wiseau at one point.
Yes, that's the one.
That got a little like running the edge of too much. I'm glad they cut that off from the
yes.
But ultimately, it's gonna pass a couple hours of your time, and I'm sure this will lead to more things for Mr. Glenn. He's really kind of blown up out of nowhere.
Let me ask you this: he was honestly the best part of the movie for me.
He's the only part of the movie. Of course, he's the best part.
Well, no, what do you mean?
Not only is he the titular character, the lead character, he's doing all the stretching like we were just talking about. Like there's I mean, she's good at first.
Well, that's what I was saying. But I think that's important too. Is I do think they have good chemistry.
At first they do, and I feel like they kind of lose it throughout.
But I think that's critical for a movie like this, because you see that a lot where you just don't buy the chemistry, like Napoleon, where you go, "What is this? I don't buy this shit."
I'm glad you said that, because one thing I wanted to bring up, which we'd be remiss not to mention, this movie has almost an 80s throwback to like a lot of sex scenes or like
Yes.
they feel like they're a bit out of nowhere, but not out of nowhere. But well,
I swear to God,
go
guys,
on-
Netflix mandates this. It really feels like a formulaic. It does feel like every time you're watching a Netflix movie, like a movie made for one of these streamers, they always have to like shove this really hardcore, not hardcore, but like over the top sex stuff just
it's
to
a
prove,
throwback to
to remind
like 80s,
everyone,
90s.
this isn't cable TV, guys. You're
Yeah.
getting your money's
But it's
worth.
still very soft core. It's not like you don't really, I don't think you even
Well, I mean,
see.
you don't see penetration, but you're seeing stuff that you would have seen on Skinamax. Like, and it's unnecessary. I didn't need to see her
Yeah.
right on top of him.
But every your point, there were no nipples that I could tell. Believe me,
Yeah.
I
Are
looked.
there nips?
But it was all
There are
like
nips.
No, no
sort of
nips.
soft core, like side
Yeah.
boob, like getting it on. But here's the point.
That's how much I
in
pay
my
attention. I don't even know
mind,
if there's nips or not. No idea.
was that?
I would be terrible on Mr. Skin's on
Oh,
his.
sure.
I
You'd be a
would be
bad
awful.
researcher.
I'd be like, there's
Mr.
no
What you
Sure.
see, Cowan? I don't know.
Don't pay attention to the sex scene.
Could have been a dude, could have been a chick. I don't know.
skinny.
It felt like the scenes went on forever. I estimated there were like 20 minutes worth of sex scenes where, back to the listener's point, that could have been time making the other cop, the de facto bad guy, a little badder. It could have been like making her a little more like compelling or sympathetic. Like there's, not to be fucking celibate old man over here, but it's like I would have liked a little more character development as opposed to what felt like 20 minutes of just like rolling in the hay.
I don't know if it was 20, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I do think that
I
there
think
is,
it was 20.
if anyone works at Netflix or Amazon or even Hulu or Apple TV, like one of these streamers, and you have actually I should talk to my friend, see if I'm crazy. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but it does like even with TV shows like Game of Thrones, like how many unnecessary sex scenes were in there? And I think it's almost like a junior high kid who's like, cussing. It's like we get to cuss now. Oh, we're gonna cuss because they're TV, but they're spending all this money and because they're paid for and they can do this. And then it's not like the old. It's because back, they're not one of the networks, and it's like we know you're not one of the networks. We know. We get it.
And
we don't need you to prove it constantly.
I think
We
my
know
ultimate
you're a young adult. It's like they're young adults. Oh, these new streamers are like teenage, like young adults.
yeah.
Not like let's show boobs.
So my ultimate example of what I'm talking about is, so this is not going to blow anyone's mind, but you're not going to believe this. He falls in love with one of the people who hires him to do a killing or is going to hire him, whatever.
Why are we
And,
doing this? Why are we doing like
well,
a book report? I hate these kinds of reviews,
let
Brad.
me go.
All right.
That really could have been time spent. Like, why are we supposed to hate the husband character? Are we supposed to hate the husband character? Like, we get a little taste of like, oh, he's a piece of shit, but like, we see him get a bar fight, like outside the bar, understandable. Like,
it seems sort of on the scale of abuse. It's lower than you would expect for this response. It's kind of like, oh, I don't get to see my friends, and he said I can't have a job anymore. And you think, oh, piece of shit guy, but does he deserve to die?
Yes, I agree. And you only hear about it. Like, I don't want to be fucking pedantic about it, but show, don't tell. You know what I mean? Like, can we see this guy being an asshole so we don't like him? Otherwise, we're just relying on what may be an unreliable narrator.
Hey, that's not. Yeah, I totally agree. And there's plenty of shortcomings with the storyline, with the plot, with the motivation, with everything, right to the very end. And they even, like I said, like the climax is BS, which they let you know right as the credits roll. But it's not. Who cares? It's like it's not a great movie. It's a 3-star movie. It's all about Glenn Powell. It's all
ultimately it's enjoyable, I guess. On
I
the
think
binary scale.
I'm trending more towards 3.5 because I did think it was enjoyable, and I was genuinely surprised that at least half, maybe more than half of the twists, I did not predict and did not see coming. I was impressed by the places it took me, because normally with a movie like this, they really telegraph their punches and where they're going. You can almost hit it beat for beat, but this kind of mixed it up a little bit where it did keep me guessing to some degree.
Should also mention that this is narrated, which some people really don't like. They think it's cheating. I like the voiceover. Like he's just talking to us as an audience. And
Yeah.
so,
It was neither here nor there for me. Honestly, I forgot
the voiceover narration. And then we see the real guy that it's based on at the end. And I'm surprised that he signed off on some of this bullshit, honestly, because it doesn't make him look that great either. But watching Glenn Powell go from
he's dead
Nemish. Oh, yes. Little Nemish
in real life. Yeah.
is a little Nemish, like insecure. I've never seen that side of Glenn Powell. You know, we always see the cocky one, which obviously they gravitate towards, and the story leads us to heavy cocky Glenn Powell playing Ron, right? But it was fun watching an actor, do these things that we had not seen him do before. Is this guy going to be like a huge star for decades to come, guys? Is he one of the big ones? Is this like his official coming out party?
I think so. I think he's got the potential at least.
Anything can happen, of course, but I would say more likely than not.
Like Bradley Cooper. I mean, I'm not saying Bradley Cooper is like a triple, quadruple. What can't Bradley Cooper do? I heard he's pitching for the Yankees next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, he writes, directs, he stars. I mean,
not his hometown Phillies.
Does it all, but I'm not saying that Glenn Powell is that, but he does seem to have some of the same DNA.
Do you think he has an Oscar in him?
I think he does. I think we are going to see an Oscar in Mr. Glenn Powell down the road. It seems like that, right?
Would you like to see him in a Marvel film?
It's like a 2-hour audition tape for multiple roles.
That's right. Yeah, he put himself on tape.
He's like, please give me Gosling's career, please.
Gosling's getting a little long in the tooth on the new guy. All right.
Would you want to pivot to a film you're assigned, or do you want to talk Bad Boys? I did not see Bad Boys, so you'll be doing...
Brian, they made it for you. They made it for you.
I'm not going to jump into a franchise on like a middling part 4, but you tell me, Anderson, if I...
How did college Brian not see this? The original Bad Boys. How did you avoid this?
Bad Boys is elevated Fast and Furious. When I say elevated, I mean elevated action. That's not even fair. Like, it's not quite as dumb as or as insulting or as offensive as Fast and Furious.
Wow.
And it's not quite as cringy, but it's teetering. Bad Boys Rider. Did I take any notes on this thing? Hold on.
Jeez. It's gonna be short.
I think you just wrote 5 stars in Sharpie on your hand.
I might have just done that. Yeah. Let me see. Oh no!
You just drew Martin Lawrence over and over again.
Bad Boy, Bad Boys Ride or Die, brand new movie, just came out this weekend, 2024. Directed by Adil El Arbi as well as Bilal Fallah. Now I hope that one day those names are household names, and it'd be funny hearing me try and pronounce their names all the years ago. But these guys are really taking action to where it needs to be, and where it's kind of like they're taking it to the next step, the next level for the most part. They of course directed Rebel before this, as well as the last Bad Boys movie, which I did not see, and I gotta tell you, they helped me watch while watching this one, as far as like filling the gaps for people who forgot or did not see the last one. But still, it was bothering me throughout. The OCD in me was the completionist in me. It was like, how did I just not see the last one? Oh yeah, because I gave up on this franchise. I don't really care. But now I'm back in just because of these directors who I fell in love with their work and that they did with Rebel. So
Rebel is sweet.
This is them doing a Hollywood, action movie. Obviously, second time they did the last one as well. What was that one called? Ride or Die.
Bad Boys. Something.
Bad Boys.
See, that one was Bad Boys for Life, and they fucked up because that was the third one.
Yeah, it should have been For Life.
Yeah, exactly.
It should have been the fourth one. All right, what? So
Bad Boys for Life.
So it's more of the same. It's a whole lot of
it's right there.
Really,
I don't think Anderson got it.
I didn't know I was listening. What was that?
You really didn't.
What
so
happened?
The third one is called Bad Boys for Life, and they missed the chance to make that the fourth one because it could have been for life. Yeah,
you'd have to spell it wrong though. That teaches children the wrong.
Do you think anyone going to see that movie would know?
I saw it.
That's a good
point. I didn't see that one.
Well, you might not know.
This is directed. This is starring Will Smith, Martin Lawrence. They come back. Vanessa Hudgens is in this, as well as Alexander Ludwig. I think that they're reprising roles from.
Yes, I forgot that Hudgens was in the last one. She was the Zoomer Gen Xers, like, old man, you don't know how to do this.
DJ Khaled showed up, and to the delight of most of the audience was very excited. Tiffany Haddish was in there. Rhea Seahorn, which she was.
Rhea Seahorn's back.
What?
So Rhea Seahorn's back.
What do you mean?
Didn't you just mention her?
Shoot, what?
The listener did in the Flick Fashion.
Yeah, he's talking about this movie, and all she does is scowl, which is spot on. Did I say Tiffany Haddish shows up in it? The baddie is good. There's a lot of them pulling out the hits and doing what they do. While I'm watching, I'm like, this is very enjoyable. The money spent it's all, you can see it on the screen. There's a ton of drone work. They probably leaned a little heavy, maybe way too heavy at times with the drones, both on screen and off screen for camera purposes. But the two of them are fun together. I hate to admit it, but I still love them. I think they still have it all these years later. I really liked the first Bad Boys. I still cite it as like the only Michael Bay movie that I really like. Pain and Gain being maybe.
How dare you?
I mean, Michael Bay is like, he doesn't make movies for me at all, but I really like that original Bad Boys. He has the cameo in this as well. Michael Bay does. If you're watching closely, he's the douche in the Porsche.
Do you really not like The Rock?
No, I don't like The Rock at all.
Oh, that's an enjoyable film.
I was so
The Rock's pretty good.
Too much slow motion, too many green balls slowly going off edges.
Fucking rules.
I never once was tense, and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be tense and caring, but I just don't. My girlfriend at the time too, she fell fast asleep next to me. And no, she wasn't coming down off anything. She was just.
I was gonna say, she up all night.
No, she wasn't. Actually, it wasn't one of those girlfriends. All right, so it wasn't one of those girlfriends. This is a new level of creative. I mean, there's so many little, you can tell these guys' minds are just on fire and they're looking for every, like, there's a shot of Martin Lawrence. You think nothing of it. He just has to look at his watch. It's the opening sequence. We saw it in the trailer probably, where he stops. They're on their way somewhere. They're late, and Martin Lawrence needs something because he's about to be sick, and he needs ginger ale. And Will Smith is like, no, all right, you have 90 seconds. You can go in there, and then the place is getting stuck up. Robbed. Thank you. Held up, yes. And Martin Lawrence, before that, he's like looking at his watch to see how much time he has before the 90 seconds is up. And there's like a shot through his watch, like a POV of his watch. You see the hands and stuff moving. No need for that. But it's just a fun, creative little shot. They're doing fun things with the camera, with time lapses throughout. There's a ton of eye candy in here to somebody who's a bit hard on these kinds of things. Like, you might be annoyed with the amount of drone work, especially with some of the action sequences. I feel like The Gray Man did really great drone work. But
speaking of drone work, Amber Lamps with Michael Bay was great in 2022 with The Ambulance.
Oh,
I thought you said Amber Lamps.
I did. That was
people like that ambulance. I think
the Amber Lamps.
There's also a scene in here where
M-U-L-A-N-S.
Will Smith gets slapped 5 times, and obviously that's on purpose. And it was very funny and very enjoyable. Some of every 5th joke was just a huge clunker though, and it's just like it was Martin Lawrence just saying something that didn't really land, and there was just like deafening silence, which you don't notice. You think maybe I don't really like that kind of humor, but I bet this killed in the theater. But when you're in a theater filled with people who love
it, doesn't kill.
Bad Boys, and it's just and they leave that thing. A little editing trick that you do with comedy is they leave like a beat or two so that the laughter could happen, and then you hear the next dialogue. Because you don't want. I think that's dumb. I like it when the laughter actually bleeds into the next line and you can't even hear what the next line is because this feeling of pandemonium in the theater, like, oh my God, this is so funny that people can't even hear.
And then it starts to overlap because then they'll hit you with other jokes and it just builds.
But they didn't do that in this one. They left plenty of room for laughter that never came in the theater.
Yeah, it's almost like a laugh track where they're just waiting for it to play out, or the live studio audience where they're playing.
And I felt bad for Martin Lawrence because he was doing his face thing, and it's like, but 4 out of the 5 would land, and like there would be laughter. But
that's a pretty good hit rate.
Not bad. Maybe I'm being a little generous. It might have been like 3 out of 5.
I think you love this movie.
I do not. This is a solid 3, once again, 3+, 3.5 star movie. Like, the action is better than it needed to be. It's more elevated than it needed to be. And I'm still, comparing this to 90s, 80s and 90s action, just really dumb, bad Michael Bay type action movies, which Michael Bay was trying to emulate with technology and budget. And I feel like we have over the last few years, I don't know if it started with Nolan and what he did with Dark Knight over there, but audiences are more sophisticated and they demand more from their action, not just twisting robots and whatnot.
Do you think that this is sort of the directing team is sort of using this as an audition, kind of like Glenn Powell did, to show that they can use a big franchise as a launching point, do all these creative shots so that then they can kind of blaze their own trail, get sort of an original project
haven't already
that they
been stolen from by Marvel or DC. I don't know. They may have been. I should look into that. But I mean, they're going to get, they're going to get gobbled up by. I just hope that they can make personal.
But that's what I was going to say. Do you think this was sort of them helping out the studios with these two bad boys? These are not critically acclaimed, but they're financially successible. Now let us sort of do our own thing and take a chance on us.
I mean, they might make they are very good. I just, some of it is gimmicky for sure, but it's still, I like, especially in a movie like this, like just POV of the gun. And there's a lot of like GoPro shots in this, and the camera's constantly in motion and it never really feels completely out of control. The movie's just incredibly dumb numerous times. You just can't get caught up in it. You can't be like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, why would they do that? This is dumb. But there's like some also with the storyline and showing Will Smith, and there's a lot of his own personal life where he's bleeding into this with the slap, and he's having panic attacks constantly. There's stuff with Martin Lawrence, with, I think, it's self-referential to his own personal life. Like they got him wandering around in traffic at one point, which, if you recall, like when he had a mental breakdown 15 years ago or something,
that's not familiar.
Wandering around in traffic. There's a lot of self-reflection, I think, in this movie, which I liked. Yeah, this is 3.5 bordering on. No, I can't say that. It's just the storyline is just so it's so formulaic and what you'd expect. The baddie is very bad though. This is very R-rated. There's a lot of blood and guns and gun porn, and his son too, which apparently Will Smith's character had a son in the last one. Mike had a son, and who played a vital role right up to the end of the last one. And somebody died. Somebody major died. I think we all know that from the trailer. And his son was responsible for that somehow. So I don't even know why, or I guess the cartel was involved or something. And yeah. Anyways, a fun 2-hour action movie that if you're gonna enjoy it, and try to enjoy it on the big screen. Yeah.
Well put. You really trailed off there at the end.
I mean,
I think he was feeling shame for almost giving it 4 stars. I think he was.
It's sad watching these guys be old, though. But I don't hate Will Smith. I think the man has got a lot of issues. But I like to see that maybe he's got some self-deprecating qualities and can kind of laugh. I don't know. The fact that he signed off on being slapped like 4 or 5 times in the scene. I don't know if someone had to talk him into it. I don't know. This is the first time we've been back on the big screen too since
really
incident.
Wow.
Because Emancipation got shelved. It didn't get shelved, but it didn't have a theater.
Just died on Apple.
I'm telling you, we ought to watch that one.
Perhaps one day. When I'm not watching as a watch along though, Brian, because that's disrespectful. It's supposed to be a good dramatic movie. Not watching, not talking over like a slave running for his life with the listeners. Will Smith's really trying to act here. Look at him run from Whitey. I'm not doing that.
That'd be tone deaf. You want to talk about the movie assigned to us by John Campbell?
I think it's a little break time first.
Take a quick little breaky break. Yeah, but then let's talk. We got some fun, all like summer type action fun movies that we're talking about until we talk about Coffee Table. That's not so much fun.
That's not fun.
That's the one that doesn't belong here. Like the Sesame Street game, right? Which one of these things doesn't belong?
Oh, sure, yeah. Which one of these is not like the other?
But The Guest, Hitman, I mean, those movies share a lot of similar DNA. And then you got Bad Boys, which obviously is all fun action, gun-toting movies. All right.
Coming up next, we'll talk about those after this. Yeah, welcome back. Time to talk about The Guest, 2014 film directed by Adam Wingard, starring Dan Stevens, Micah Monroe, Brendan Meyer, Sheila Kelly, Leland Orser, and Lance Reddick. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. You can rent this. I'm very curious, Anderson. Did you make contact with John Campbell? We went in as blind, and I don't know if he even knew we were doing this. So what do you have to report?
What?
What?
No, I did not get a chance to talk to John Campbell, who assigned us this. However, I don't know. I didn't understand all the rest of the part about going in blind, and if he didn't know.
Well, because last week you're like, we're doing this. Hopefully, we'll hear from him in the next week.
Yeah, he has been. I've not had as much correspondence with him as I have with some others, just because there's the large gaps. We communicate through a Patreon app, but it's not important. He had us watch this movie, The Guest. I let him know that I already watched this back probably 2014, 2015. And if he was still cool with it, we go ahead. And he said, yes, I'm fine if I've already seen it, even if you already flick fested. I'd like to hear you guys talk about it again. So here we are. years later talking about The Guest again. I think that it's worthy of being talked about a couple of times because it is a little movie that never comes up that people
That's true. I've not heard of
probably
this.
really enjoy. I wish it was streaming somewhere. You gotta rent it right now, but I think it's worth the rental. This is also you already said who directed it, but Adam Wingard, who directed Your Next, which is one of the only mugging with masks on movies that I've actually kind of liked. He also did one of the segments in VHS, which seems like every single director has had a segment in there, and also of course the most recent Godzilla, Kong: The New Empire, director of that one. So
Very
this
good.
is work
So
10 years ago with The Guest.
Dan Stevens plays the titular
Brian.
guest. So there's a family. Leland Norris.
He leaned into the camera when he said it.
That's good.
I missed that.
There's a family who has experienced a loss in the military world. Their son was a soldier.
Dan, let's back up for a second. Dan Stevens too. Like, I'm not familiar with him except for this movie. I don't know this man. I don't
know
see
this
him.
guy.
I guess he's huge in Downton Abbey. But I don't know Downton Abbey because I don't
Oh,
watch.
is he British?
I don't. He's in that show. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, all right. I don't know him either, so I went into this pretty.
He was
pretty
born
clean.
in Croydon in Surrey. He was born in
yes.
Croydon in Surrey.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dan Stevens, the titular guest, it comes to, I guess, console this family. Like, shows up on the doorstep out of nowhere. Like, hey, I know your son. We served together. Oh, look, here's a picture of us in Iraq or wherever they were. Sorry, they might be Afghanistan. But anyway, here's a picture of us in our uniforms. And if you don't mind, can I, hang out with you guys for a while? And
Nope.
they're like, yeah, but
That's not what happens. So
what?
that's not exactly how it happens.
Okay, well, correct me then.
So he shows up and he's all like, well, oh shucks, ma'am, I just wanted to let you know, I was with your son when he died, and his last words were, I love my family. I want you to tell them that I love them. Can you do that for me? So here I am telling you that, and that's it, ma'am. I'll be on my way. And she goes, oh no, you can't leave. You got to stay here. You can stay in his room actually. So he's just filling this void that has been created in the family, and you get the sense right off that something might be up. Otherwise, it's just like a Hallmark, almost like a Christian themed movie that would,
Sure.
like on the Hallmark Channel, right?
Or like a Fathom event.
And it could, yeah, this could have gone in that direction. It was kind of feeling that vibe a little bit, right, Barbara?
Yeah, that takes quite a turn.
But yeah, then it takes, and this is a tough one to talk about because it's so much fun watching things unfold. Something's up, you're not sure what's up until the very end, right?
But do you though? Like, even then, it's not really explained very well. And I'll just say, speaking of the very end, the character Dan Stevens plays takes a real turn where it's like in the last 5 to 10 minutes, he's a very different acting character than he was before, and that kind of bummed me.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, he was. I don't know if I can say too much, but
yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. You should be careful. But okay, I don't necessarily agree. I know what you're saying, but I didn't.
Wait, don't agree that it bummed you, or don't agree that it happened? Because he's very different.
Bummed me. Are you saying that it bummed you out? Bumped you? What does that mean?
Well, like it distracted me. It stuck out. I was like, wait, well, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. There's a comp here that we're both fairly familiar with, but if I were to bring it up, it would give everything away. So I don't want to do that. But it's a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of fun, and a lot of satisfaction. This movie is very satisfying because he's a badass. He's military.
He's like a PTSD John Wick.
And he comes in and this family is broken. This family has a lot of, healing to do, from the dad who was the one that fucked a hooker because John Doe told him to in 7.
Oh, sure. In 2 movies, he was responsible for the death of a hooker by impaling.
He told me, yeah, the other one would be Very Bad Things.
That's right.
He told me to fuck her. So I did. I fucked her with the knife strap
That's
on.
from this movie.
But yeah, so he's a dad in this one, a conservative father. And they have a very
he's reformed his ways.
Incredibly sexy
Indeed.
teenage daughter.
Yeah, he's grown up to start a family.
Oh, my neighbor.
Okay, go back. You were talking about an incredibly sexy teen daughter.
Yes, Avery. Yes, there is that.
Anderson's
Played-
words, not mine.
Maika Monroe.
Micah
Maika.
Monroe, yeah.
Maika. God, I bet she's in It Follows as well as Independence Day, The Fifth Wave, which we missed. All right, so yeah, she's like, she's grieving. They're all grieving, and then a little brother who's also grieving because his big brother died, and this guy is here filling the void. And they all have their own issues, their problems, and especially the little brother, he's being bullied. And man, is that it's one of those perfect scenes written by a nerd who's been bullied by jocks, and he gets to write out his fantasy, and the fantasy plays out on screen for all of us, and it's fucking satisfying. Anyone who's been bullied, and that's pretty much all of us, you're really going to enjoy at least that scene, nothing more. And there's many other scenes like that as well.
Indeed. And again, I want to tiptoe around this, but I feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. Like the brother losing, the younger brother who's in the movie, losing his older brother, his older role model, there could have been like a storyline where he follows Dan Stevens down like a dangerous path and kind of goes like the Edward Furlong route from American History X. And I mean, in a sense where he's
what are you doing?
I know, but in the sense where he's being corrupted by an outside force with the lack of a older figure in his life, like that would have been interesting. But
that's what Rebel is.
Kind of, yeah, you're right. Actually, it is.
But there's no need for that in this movie. I mean, this movie has its own thing going on that I think is just as interesting, especially once it kind of like Hitman. This is just an excuse for Dan Stevens to just be awesome. Like he's really good, and I wish that
a bit of an ass kicker. Yes, that's true.
A bigger film presence. But obviously Downton Abbey is where actually I don't even know if he's only in 25 episodes. I don't know why Dan isn't in more things. He's great. He's great in this movie. He exudes confidence and charisma right.
Yeah, he's the best part of the movie for me. The movie
he's the guest. Oh my God.
Once again,
Batman's the best part of the movie for me. The guest, the guy that plays the guest.
But,
the best part.
Okay, to that point though, he is the movie. The movie to me felt a little thin. Like I was like, all right, what else is coming? And nothing else came. Let me ask you this.
A lot of things came, and you could
let me ask you
a lot of things came, and you could tell that the production design went a little ham, and they had a little bit too good of a time, maybe too much leash. But this is a small, I don't want to call it a B movie, but it's like a small independent movie.
Yeah, it's kind of mumblecore, I guess you would call it. Let me ask you this: Who mumblecore? Who is the? That's what I do. Who is the protagonist of this film?
It doesn't. He is.
No,
Brian, you got to be careful. And the edits are great. The very, very well edited movie. I was very impressed watching it a second time here. How fun how good the edits were. It's just a tight, fun little movie.
Yes, what you're saying is correct. I don't want to gloss over what I said because this movie has basic structural problems.
Oh my God. What Brian, you're watch. You guys are gonna like The Guest. If you've not seen The Guest, I think it's overall
good
Brian
at what it
wants
does.
to talk about something we can't talk about without giving everything away, and it's already kind of too late for that now.
I disagree.
How do you disagree, Brian?
I didn't give anything away.
Yes, you did.
I didn't pick up on anything.
And you want to go deeper into it too.
I don't.
You literally said, I don't want to gloss over what I just said. I'm trying to gloss.
That's a good point.
Brian.
The movie lacks from certain basic structural inefficiencies.
What Brian's saying is it's not nearly formulaic enough for me. I'm used to a certain formula, and this one's not following those rules, so I'm having trouble with it.
There were not enough spoons, and I was not fed.
Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Spoiler on it? Because I mean, I go ham there if you want.
No. I'll just say that it succeeds, I think, in spite of what are fundamental deficiencies.
Which is, it's not formulaic enough for you.
I guess you could boil it down.
The bad guys don't wear.
You could be
black
reductive
hat.
enough if you. Well, no, the antagonist I think is well defined.
Good guys don't wear white hats, so I was confused. I'm like, what's happening?
That's so reductive on your part. Rather than engaging me in actual discussion,
I can't engage you in actual discussion because you won't do a spoiler, and there's no way I'm doing it here because it would ruin the fucking movie. So all I can do is pick at you and make fun of you. That's the only thing.
Just agree and move on.
I disagree.
Well, see, we're stuck.
I totally disagree with you, Bryan. No, it's a really, really fun movie that doesn't get the due that I think that it deserves. Much like Freaked. Thank you, Avery, for sending me that message that you found online of someone talking about Freaked and how good it is and how it's sad that no one talks about it.
Hey,
Freaked.
can I surprise you right now?
Give me that DVD back because it's worth a bunch of money apparently.
Yeah, I gave that back.
Can
Bryan.
I surprise you a little bit? I'm going to talk about a movie I really enjoyed.
No way! Seriously?
The Coffee Table, directed
Wow.
by Calle Casas, 2024 film.
Shocking.
What's that?
This is shocking that you liked it. I felt
Starring
bad.
David Pareja and Estefania de los Santos, and a part of the baby is in this. 85% of Rotten Tomatoes. You can rent this. This, Anderson, is one of the darkest comedies I've ever seen. I know you. I wouldn't say wallow, but you love your dark comedies.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
a sweet spot for you. This is one of the darkest, funniest films I've ever seen.
Speaking of which, The Guest essentially apparently was written as a dark comedy and meant to be a dark comedy, as John Campbell was telling me that, who assigned it to us, and I definitely felt some dark comedy vibes in there. I don't know if it really committed to it. Same with The Coffee Table. I don't know if the commitment was quite there.
You don't know?
I don't know if the commitment to the comedy angle was there.
Oh, I disagree. I was laughing throughout this movie.
I feel like we can talk about this one openly. And I don't know if you can ruin it because it's so high concept. It's just a thing that happened.
Yes,
and
the inciting incident happened. The alarming inciting incident happens at the third of the way through the movie.
Now, I didn't know about it until I watched it. So but it's telegraphed, and I'm like, fuck, here we go. Here's how I think we've set this one up. If you want to spend money and watch the Coffee Table, I do not recommend you doing so. It was not an enjoyable watch for me. I didn't really even pick up that much.
Wait, really? I thought you would love this.
No. But it's an interesting movie, and it's a movie that goes places that most movies want to go, especially movies you hear about that are actually available.
It's a Spanish film. It's in Spanish. I don't know if it's Mexican or Spanish. Portuguese.
I believe it was made in Spain.
Yes, it is a foreign film. You got to read this. But okay, so here's how the movie ends.
If you want to listen to this and then maybe figure out decide if it's worthy of watching and you kind of experiencing, we're going to give a lot of shit away. I think we have to talk about this.
This is one of those rare movies where okay. So if you follow along with this flick fashion, I think we should talk about the inciting incident because it is how the movie sets up.
Did you know, Bryan?
No, not at all. That said, it is shocking.
Yeah, but okay.
It is. You do not see it.
Here we go. We're just going to do are we doing or do we just do this? I think here's the move. We talk about it.
The movie is not about that thing. It's about the fallout from that thing.
Yeah, for sure. But I want to talk about the fallout too, and the performances and the setups and the dynamic of the characters. And if
we break the tie here, what do we do?
I think we just talk about it briefly here. It's already going to be a long episode, and then we just have a further discussion about it with the spoiler. Who cares? And people can decide if they want to listen to the spoiler. Actually,
yeah, but that does eliminate it.
Here's what
it seems like you don't feel like it's really that spoilerable.
It is. It's a reveal in the sense where for sure, if you listen and hear what we say without seeing it,
we're going to talk about the first two acts. We can leave the third act alone, I think. But
I feel like if you're saying it's as polarizing as it is, you might need to. This might be one of those movies where you need to reveal the inciting incident for people to know if it's for them or not. I don't know. Because I feel like right now, the way it's been sold, a lot of people are going to go in blind, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, Bryan liked it, Anderson did," and they might jump in and go, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, that's a good point, Avery. And I don't want to fuck over people just because they don't pay us $5 a month. I feel kind of like shitty doing that here. So I think this is going to be like a little preview of what our spoiler discussion sound like more often. So once we get through the boilerplate, as we say, or the brass tacks, the basics of like who made it and what not.
I already did that. So here's how it opens. This is the opening of the film. Husband and wife are in a furniture store, and they're being sold by a fairly aggressive, enthusiastic salesman on this coffee table. And it is garish. It is, gold mermaids holding up a big plate of glass. Like it's not
something you see in the Trump Tower.
Yeah, no one would think this is aesthetically pleasing, but it becomes
There's
a thing.
a lot of people out there that would.
No reasonable person would
Most
find
people,
this.
yeah, yeah.
That's part of the joke, I think, is that like,
Oh, for sure.
okay, that's objectively ugly, and so it becomes sort of a bellwether, the husband, a referendum on their relationship. Husband's like, I kind of like this thing, and the wife's like, this is the ugliest thing ever. It's like, no, I kind of like it, and like the salesman's like, this is the highest quality glass. It cannot be. It is unbreakable. This cannot be broken. It will last your entire life. And then the wife and like here's the example of the humor early on. She goes, do you have this in your house? It's so nice. Do you have one? He goes, no, but I have a very similar one. And she's like, but not this one. No. But it's similar. It's the same manufacturer. So it's that kind of almost Seinfeldian, wordplay. Anyway, the long story short, the coffee table gets purchased, and
the husband uses it. He it's a hill he's willing to die on.
Yes,
like, he's like, you know what? You've made every choice from our baby's name.
He feels emasculated. They have
Yeah.
a new baby. We should point out.
They have a brand new baby. And he's like, you've made every single choice from the baby's name, and then it turns out the baby's name is the same as the salesman's name. It's like, what are the chances there? And
he goes as far as like, we're on a 5th floor walk up in our condo or whatever. I will fucking haul this thing up there myself.
Yes, I need this.
Like going upstairs.
It's the one
and
thing.
They get it in the house or the condo or whatever.
And the salesman says this coffee table will bring you so much joy. It will make everything in your life great. Like your life will be the best if you get this coffee table. It's almost like a curse type, like
a monkey's paw.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, monkey's paw.
It's the same trope. It's just a different thing. And so they get into the house. They start assembling it. Why it needs assembly, no one knows, but it needs assembly. And wouldn't you know, there's a screw missing. And so the table is all wobbly. And the wife goes, they're fighting, they're bickering the entire time. She goes, I'm out of here. I'm going to the hardware store. I'll get a screw. You set this horrible thing up, and your brother's coming over with his new girlfriend, and the baby is crying, and he's been put to sleep. You deal with that. I'll go get the screw. She goes.
No. I'm sorry, but she goes to the market to get food for the party that they're about to have that night for like the brothers coming over. And
doesn't she go to the hardware store also?
No, the husband calls the store. He's very mad because it's very expensive table.
Yes.
He needs the salesman to come give him the screw.
Yeah, he's like, I paid so much for this table. The least you can do is bring that screw over here. Yeah. I'm not coming to get it. You're going to bring that screw to me.
And she goes to the market to shop because his brother is coming over that night, and she's leaving him alone with a newborn child for the first time. He's never been alone with the baby.
Yes, this baby is newborn, as you said. And so now he's
never been alone with it, which is a big day. Like when you're home alone with your newborn kid, because the mom's been with the baby for months, like inside her belly.
And there was a line too of like, I think it's too soon to have kids, but you said we're ready, so we went ahead and did it.
Yeah. So he's home alone with the coffee table and the baby, and you know what's coming. Like we all know, right? Even though when you started the movie,
you're a smart guy.
You know.
What do you think is coming at this point?
I don't think good things are going to happen to the baby and the coffee table.
Like in terms of what, if you had to predict what manifested itself,
I would imagine that the glass is quite breakable and it's quite sharp.
Now, thankfully, I was dreading seeing some bad like CGI or
you would be right.
Practical, or you don't see it; it's off camera, and you just hear the break in the glass, and
the baby is crying nonstop as babies do, and there's a moment where it stops crying.
The glass
how does the baby end up near the coffee table?
We don't see because
he's in his arms.
We're slowly pushing in down a hall, and the coffee table is around the corner, and where he's pacing back and forth with the crying baby, trying to get it to be quiet. And next thing you hear is a stumble. He stumbles. The glass breaks. It's an accident. It's not. Don't think that like he did this.
Yeah.
The glass breaks, and
the baby stops crying.
The baby stops crying. Yeah, because it's hard to cry when you don't have a head. And but it's very like, this is shot and done in a dramatic horrific horror, like tense vibe. I mean, there's nothing.
Stomach churning.
There's no winking at the camera. There's no
It's not like this is the end where they're kicking around the head and laughing.
Okay,
Right.
but okay, you're right. But at a certain point, it does make that turn where it's like, all right, now we're going to wink at this.
I don't know if they ever do.
I think when the baby's head is acknowledged as being under the chair and never retrieved, I think that's
that was an odd choice.
You can't just have foisted this on people without telling them the inciting incident.
What have we been talking about? We've been hearing listen to the show for weeks now. This darkest comedy anyone's ever seen.
We're 18 minutes into this film.
Yeah, and it becomes Chekhov's baby's head. Where
I wrote that down. Chekhov's baby head.
You know it has to have a payoff at some point. Oh, we forgot to mention the neighbor, which this minor, I guess, but they had just moved in. It's a new building that they just moved into, and there's a 13-year-old neighbor daughter who somehow already knows the family very well.
Is she also very hot?
No, and she's obsessed in love. She might be one day, and she's obsessed and in love with the man, with the baby killing, and she's already had. It
has nothing to do with the movie except for the Keystone Cops moment where, as you can imagine, everyone's in the apartment together.
Right. We're talking about the third act. We're leaving that to a match. Look at him just going ham. He's like, oh, we're going to spoil this one. Let's jump right into the third. Okay. Right. All right. So she's already had a private conversation with him. It's uncomfortable at the door. That could have been the entire movie. Would have been very uncomfortable. Would have felt like Todd Salons, right? But she's accused, and she's in love with the man.
She's not accusing him of anything. She's like, I'm going to blackmail you effectively.
Yeah, if you don't kiss me, if you don't be with me and leave your wife, I'm gonna tell everyone that you're trying to. Anyway, I don't know if there's actually girls out there that are that crazy, but she's supposed to be like a 13-year-old misguided crazy girl who's like in love, and she has a little dog. And all right, so
shades of crazy stupid love.
Now here's what really wrecked me with this movie and did not allow me to enjoy the comedy, which I guess is in there. I couldn't have a good time. His wife is an ultra bitch, right?
I loved her,
but she wasn't bitchy enough because, like, I think for this to have worked for me, I would have had to hate her so much that I was excited for her to find out.
Oh, I disagree.
And I didn't want her. I felt so bad for this woman. I felt so bad.
I think that's what they were trying to do.
I felt it's nothing funny about just feeling really bad and putting myself in his shoes, going, my God, it would just be the fucking worst. I could not, and I was just dreading every moment. Like,
I forgot what it was. Why? Oh, yes. Oh, God. I don't want to give it away. There's a point where she's laughing at his misfortune, what she thinks is his misfortune.
You think it's hilarious that
she is the greatest Anderson level smoker's laugh of all time, and she just can't stop herself.
I got a smoker's laugh.
Anderson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she can't stop herself. Even the husband is sitting there like, yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea how bad this is getting.
Smoker's
great.
Did you watch this with Christy?
No, she was not in the house.
I think Christy would have the same reaction. Now, a lot of people would be shocked that I'm very surprised that you like it as much as you did.
I agree. I thought you loved this.
And I would have, and I wonder if I would have liked it more before I had a kid of my own, but I don't think so. I think I think I would have, and this might sound simple of me, if they really goofed it up. And I think I said this last week talking about it a little bit, like if it was this like almost like Fairly Brothers, like over the top with
I feel like that would have been cheating, like hedging your bets. Like, hey, we're making it okay for you to laugh. Or
goofy comedy, but like
comes from like the seriousness of the situation.
Yeah, so kind of like This Is the End, where they're doing that. There's a lot of decapitation and bodily horror. That's what you were
silly.
Oh,
I guess Edgar Wright would be a better comp than the Fairly Brothers. Yeah, like if it was just like Shaun of the Dead type, where it's like still ghastly and like hardcore subject matter, but it's the laughs are big. There's no big laughs in this.
No.
It's all super.
This is almost like Larry David-esque with some ghoulish horror.
There's no release. There's no pressure release. No valve in this built in this movie, and I needed it. I needed comic relief, and they weren't giving it. And people kept saying dark comedy. It's like I guess the comedy is that there was not much. I guess that maybe is.
I disagree. I laughed heartily a couple of times.
I don't know. I mentioned it last week about that feeling that I used to get a lot that I was very familiar with, where it's like I was just dreading it because I knew something was coming in the mail that was going to get me in big trouble because of something I did at school. And it was like 3 days of just like, oh God, it's coming. I mean, my dad, hopefully he's in a good mood when he reads it, when he gets this note or gets the news from my mom, or else I'm going to take a beating. Just that dread. And that's what I felt like for this whole movie, just dread. Like it's all going to have to come to a head. And how is this going to, and I felt fucking bad for the baby.
Yeah,
The baby.
there was a point where I was like, maybe this is going to be like an all dream scenario, or like, like
I was afraid of that. I was afraid to wake up. That would have made me.
They go for it.
They go for it, and there is a reveal, and it does come to a head. Or fun. And yeah, I don't know. I think that most people will not like this.
Does he try to conceal this at first?
Oh yeah,
at first the entire movie's him concealing.
The entire movie's trying to conceal.
Because I don't think you got there. Because I couldn't imagine where this goes after that happens.
He's got like 30 minutes before his wife comes home from the market, and then a few hours after she gets home, they're having a small dinner party with his brother and his brother's girlfriend, they have not met the baby yet. And the baby is supposed to be asleep in the back with a baby monitor.
Yeah, baby sleeping.
He is back there. But without the head, he wrapped him up in a blanket and put him back in the crib, put like the sleep machine and the monitor, and then he cleaned up all of the blood, everything, except he could not bring himself to deal with the severed head, which I kind of bought because I don't think I'd be able to deal with it.
Then it becomes real. Yeah.
I think I would have just set fire to everything. I think I would have just
make my own death
myself. I
don't
over
again.
Yeah, I don't. Or I would have just gone out like, I don't know what I couldn't do that either. I was going to say go capture as many animals as I could, just cut off all their heads and say like, I don't know what happened. Like everyone's heads just started getting cut off. I don't know what I would have done. It's the fucking worst. I don't like the idea that I was having this. Like, what would I do? I don't want to think about this. And
knowing that this is a rare.
What would you have done, Bryan? What would you have done?
I would have probably canceled the dinner. I feel like that was maybe
you call your wife while she's in the market shopping for wine for your dumb brother and you. Do you call 911 immediately? I think yeah, but I mean, what's the point? I mean, it was so definite.
I rarely say this, but Avery, I'm interested in your opinion. You see this, and giving your comedic sensibilities, I'm wondering if you come back and you're like, that was not pleasant, or like that was hilarious.
How long is this thing?
90 minutes.
Okay, so at least it's merciful in its length. I was afraid you were going to tell me it's some 2 hour and 15 minutes.
I think it's like maybe an hour 40.
Can this be streamed anywhere?
No, not yet. It could have been like a 20. I can get you a link. Could have been like a 20-minute, I think, segment of an anthology. I
love the salesman coming back. I wanted to be friends. I want to hang out.
What was the point of that? Where did that go? What was the point of that?
That's my point. Like all of.
That was just sucking time, right? That was time.
All of these tangential storylines are feeding into this sort of Keystone Cops moments towards the end where like people are coming in who shouldn't be there.
And it's just okay. All right. Well, I feel like we've said enough, talked enough.
Listeners, you know what? If you see this, I'm very interested in your perspective. Yes, this is too much, or yes, this is hilarious. Please actually Goose or Mike Cole, whoever's doing the list, or Fanfliction next week, get a couple, if there are, get a couple of ideas on this, thoughts, and relay them to us. I'm curious.
It was a well-made movie. It looked good, and it was well acted as far as I could tell. And the premise is there.
How did you find out about this?
Coffee table?
Yeah.
It's been chatted about. It's been chatted about on the show from Fanfliction, and like people.
Oh yeah, Mitch Burns was talking about it, like it ruined his life or something.
It's kind of like the modern day Human Centipede, but it has nothing on Human Centipede. I mean, like that was, but it's. I don't want to say it's a cultural phenomenon, but I mean, a lot of people are talking about this movie.
I could really see myself going either way, either being completely sickened by this or really being tickled by this. Like, right.
It was just a sense of dread, like waiting for the other shoe to drop and watching this guy have to, and like I was just in his. I guess that's a testament to the filmmakers. Like I was feeling this guy's pain throughout.
I agree with you on that, by the way. Like the guy's very sympathetic.
very sympathetic, and I didn't hate her enough to be like,
I don't think you're supposed to.
no, they definitely. You were supposed to be laughing at her expense and like, oh, this lady, like that's the comedy, right? Like she's so mean, she's laughing at her husband, and it's like, yo, you got yours coming, honey. Like you're going to be way more upset.
Yeah, but she had a point though. Like her laughing at his,
I was on her side.
Him breaking the table is funny, is it? Because it's true.
But I mean, then why didn't they make her like a sympathetic, sweet, like, oh, honey, like, could you watch the baby? It's a big day for you. I'll be back soon. You know, like she was an angry.
Because then I think that would have been a bridge too far.
That's a little too cloying, I think.
Right, but so they're going for the comedy with her. Like otherwise, what's the comedy other than like the heads under the chair? Like where else is the
that to me was not a hero there. I mean, not hero. It was the least of the comedy.
What'd you laugh about?
The entire like him. So there's a point right after the inciting incident where basically you see this guy's internal thought process, and it's like, I can go down the path like you said of call 911, call the wife. This is a tragic event, or let's pretend everything is okay and deal with this later. And he takes the wrong path.
Yeah, they do kind of set it up that he's a fuck up that makes poor decisions, and we see that play out. I don't know. Like he sits through the dinner party.
That's hilarious.
Is this a date movie? Should I see this?
Oh God! Well, it will. It's like a divining rod. You'll find the right woman.
Just have her going cold. Tell her nothing about it.
The right woman probably doesn't love this movie. Yeah. Bryan used to date a girl who liked to watch beheadings and stuff, and I'm like, Bryan, I don't know if this is the right girl for you. She around Love Line a lot, and she wanted to like beheadings. I'm like, what are you doing? She's watching beheadings back there, Bryan. I don't know if that's somebody.
Maybe I let the right one go.
I remember her name.
Yeah, that's right. Me too.
It has to do with early morning.
It does.
I forgot.
Her name was Sunrise.
It had to do with Planet of the Apes.
I look back fondly on Kingdom.
I forgot all about her until this moment.
Bryan's just trying different things out.
That's right.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was trying. Well, yes, he was trying.
All right, let's get to our top 5. Yeah,
let's take a break and get to the top 5.
That's right. Break time coming up next. A great list. Top 5 cultured villains. Welcome back. Time to count down the top 5 cultured villains, if you will. I have a dream, Anderson, that we do a whole bunch of. I want to do charismatic villains. We did sympathetic villains back in the day. We did sympathetic. Although charismatic might be tough because there's lots and lots and lots. So I don't know. I like this one though. Thank you for agreeing to indulge me. Oh my God. Okay. First of all, I know where to start. First of all, I've got 6 solid entries. I'm praying that one of mine is on your list so I can skip it and go with one of mine as an alternate. I left off maybe the biggest example of all, just because I feel like it's so obvious. And I thought, oh my God, I thought of one last night that had I not had it on my list, I might have had to seriously reevaluate my participation in this show. Like that, my reputation would have been damaged. What little reputation I have would have been damaged.
Yeah, that would have put you in the negative column.
Yeah, farther in the negative column.
Oh, I just thought of one, and it's a spoiler. Ah, damn it.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
Why is it a spoiler?
Because you don't
know the person's the villain until the end.
Oh, okay.
There was a couple of those, and then so when something's this narrow, where
it's a movie that involves a giant blue penis. That's all I'll say.
All right,
that's a good one. Actually,
a CGI blue penis.
Number when we're talking about just villains, it's one thing, but then when you just start putting particulars on it, such as cultured, which is very particular, I felt like I had to go with the obvious choices, and I had that for the most part. My top 3 are all household names, or at least I know everyone will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I tried to get clever with the because I found there to be, for the most part, an age the older you are, the more cultured, obviously, the more time you've had to become cultured. And I thought that I had come across a formula that would work. I just have the oldest at the top of my list, but one of my guys really fucks that all up, and he's not more cultured than the others. So I have to.
How many of your characters start with the letters HAN?
One.
Okay.
One. It's the one. It's not the one that you might have two. Do you have two on there?
I do, but I left one off.
Well, you mean, did you leave the obvious one off, or?
I did.
Okay, well, I have them on mine, so don't worry.
Fuck, what if you have no crossover? What do I do?
I mean, the number. Wait, no, I have two. I'm sorry. I thought you had
Oh,
three.
thank Christ.
Because there's three, right?
There are, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's three.
HAN? There's three?
Three. My number
Jesus.
one. My number. Well, I'm giving everything away, but yeah, I got a couple on my list that are on, and then HAN is also and my also rents. So.
Oh, I got you. I'm with you now.
Hank Bukowski.
Han Solo.
Well done, Brian.
Neither a villain nor cultured.
Okay, you ready?
What do I do?
The villain. He shot first.
Hanna-Barbera.
That's a good point. Yeah, Greedo would find it to be a villain.
Hannah Montana.
There it is.
This is so dumb.
This is so dumb.
Ryan, kick it off.
Brian's trying to think of more
Oh.
HANs.
I'm excited to hear the one that you thought of last night that you almost missed.
What about Henry the Portrait of a Killer?
Henry.
He could be called Hank by his friend.
See?
All right, let's go.
This is so dumb. All right. I'm actually, Anderson alluded off air to me hurting myself by patting myself on the back. I do have a few that might not come up that often on the show. Speaking of which, number 5 for me. Rarely gets brought up on the show. I think you've seen this, and I don't think you enjoyed this film. But Casanova Frankenstein, played by Jeffrey Rush in Mystery Men. He's a cultured villain, Anderson. He enjoys sipping on, quote, fine, elegant cocktails. He has a thick German accent, which is middle if he speaks more than one language. When he fights Mr. Furious at the end, he sets up in a classic pugilistic stance, and he routinely corrects. Oh, I should have got you a clip. He routinely corrects the inaccuracies and malapropisms of his idiot foes, like when he educates his nemesis, Captain Amazing, on the correct pluralization of the word nemesis. At one point, I should have got you a clip, Avery. At one point, Captain Amazing, played by Greg Kinnear, he's like, well, we've always been each other's greatest nemesis. What's the plural on that? And he rolls his eyes and goes, Nemesis. So he's a learned man.
Nemesis. Did you say Jeffrey Rush plays him?
Yes, I did.
Was this assigned to us by Logan back in the day? Or is that
I saw when it came out.
all right, settle down. You said that with much pride. I don't know.
I did.
No. I saw this when it came out.
This movie made me wish that I was biologically capable of kicking myself in the balls. I hated it.
You liked it that much?
I hated it so
I was very self-aware and thought it was much more clever than I thought.
I hated it.
We thought it was very clever and was in certain respects, but fell short in others.
It's the kid that you want to bully in school.
Yeah, you're okay with him being bullied.
I wish he had found a coffee table.
You see it? That's a bit much. Number 5 for me. Here's where I really wanted to go with youngest to oldest. I mean, I can kind of get there, but not quite. But I wanted to start with a teenager, Brian, and that is
a cultured teen.
My boy, Alex DeLarge. Now, I don't put A Clockwork Orange on my list unless it absolutely
not bad.
Absolutely deserves to be there. And I do believe that Alex DeLarge, played by Malcolm McDowell in 1971, Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, which is it's my favorite film.
Has that come up on the show before?
It has come up a few times, but it's not like I put it on every list. But if it deserves to be on a list, it deserves to be on a list. And Alex DeLarge is very cultured, especially at such a young age, only 15. But he likes the Beethoven so much over there. And
Ludwig van.
Ludwig von. He also, he has an appreciation for fine cars. They steal something called the Durango 95. And it's not like they just steal a car. Like he knows, he's telling us with his narration, his voiceover, that it's the Durango 95. Which, fun fact, Brian, it was actually something called a Probe 16 AB4. I'm not
Didn't know.
car guy, but that's what the car was way back in 1970 when they shot this. You have to imagine that it was like very, very futuristic. It's a cool looking car, but they, for the sake of the movie, it was a Durango 95. And he loves his Beethoven so much that when they're in the milk bar, if you might recall, they're all being punks and getting all high on their amphetamines that they're drinking through the milk, and then a woman just breaks into song and she's singing some Beethoven track, bit of a deep track. No, it's probably not even a deep track. And and Dim hit one of the
tracks back then.
dumber henchmen. No, they absolutely had tracks. It was supposed to be the future, Brian.
Oh, I thought I meant Beethoven's Day.
Yeah, in Beethoven's Day. No. So she's just a cappella in a Beethoven song, and Dim goes. He makes a raspberry sound. He does not, enjoying her song, and he gets whacked very hard by Alex. And he's like, "Do mind that." And he's surrounded by fools to an extent. He is by far the most learned and clever and smart. And also, even though they're wearing the cod pieces and what turned out to be, I just learned this recently or relearned it. The outfits that they wear that are so, iconic at this point.
Sure.
Kubrick was trying to figure out what they should be wearing, what their gang should be wearing. And Malcolm McDowell offered up, he was at Kubrick's house. They're going over the character. And he's like, I have my cricket gear in the car. If you want to see that, he's like, go get it. And then he had his right down to the cod piece that was like, a jock strap. And he's like, wear that on the outside. And then they wear top hats and, hats to make them look distinguished. And, that was all Alex's idea. So
sure.
He is cultured. And can you imagine where he would be as he continues to grow up? Like very, very cultured. He likes the finer things in life.
He does. He likes fine art. He likes attacking women with modern art.
Naughty. God, that's a dark comedy right there. That fucking movie is like the prime example of dark comedy. Getting your
number 4 for me. I'm shocked it's not on your list, but we talked about it off the air because I was hoping I could skip it, but it's too good. Number 4 is Norman Stansfield, played by Gary Oldman and Leon the Professional. Norman is an aficionado, Anderson, of classical music. At one point, he asks a soon-to-be victim, "Do you like Beethoven?" And he's also a fan of Mozart and Brahms, which he recommends to said victim, which is odd because you don't get the sense the guy's going to have a lot of time to track down any Brahms, but it doesn't make. He becomes enraged at one point when someone shoots him in the arm, but he's enraged not because of the pain, but because mostly it ruined his suit. The suit, I will point out, I watched several clips to see his style choices. The suit does have pleated pants, unfortunately.
Nice,
but
right? Okay.
What's that?
Of the style
Of the day that was kind of what you did, so I let it go. But a nice touch. It is a single-breasted suit, which is very fashionable.
Yeah, he's cultured a little too drug-addled, I think, for him to have been on my life.
This was who I missed it.
Imagine if the guy, the number 4. This is the Leon, the Professional. Imagine if he got into rehab at one point in another life and ended up being like a college professor.
It's Gary Oldman's character and Leon the Professional. He said, "Go back inside." Oh, he's good. He's unhinged. I think he came up on my top 5 drug addicts. Love that guy. Love that character. Very fun character. That was some good when you need it. Like he was the release valve in that.
Got the sense that he was given free reign to do some things, and he did. On one point, he's educating his soon-to-be victim on Mozart. He's like, he was Austrian. Did you know that? He's like doing an Austrian accent, and it's like, I don't know if that was in the script, but here we are.
He's having fun. He's having fun. Yes, Gary Oldman, crushing. All right,
cultured.
He's very cultured. You know who else is somewhat cultured is my number 4. He's pretty cultured. It's Jack in The House That Jack Built. Don't love this movie. When it is funny, it is very funny, but it doesn't happen often enough for me for a dark comedy. There is a couple scenes that I was laughing out loud, and it's like it's a weird sensation when you're laughing at something so disturbing and upsetting. And It was when he was so Jack, played by Matt Dillon in the house that Jack built. He's 54 years old. I should also mention, I think Alex DeLarge was supposed to be 15.
15, I think he said.
Yeah. And here we are with but Malcolm McDowell was much older than that at the time. And I'm just going off of the ages of the actors when they played it for the most part, other than Alex DeLarge, which I can't do because obviously Malcolm McDowell was a little bit older than 15. But Jack, Matt Dillon was 54 years old when they shot the house that Jack built, which would make him my oldest cultured villain, and I can't have him number one. But he is a failed architect, and he sees, he's essentially doing the circles of hell, and it's after his life, and he's going back to his greatest kills and his greatest masterpieces, which he thinks of all as art pieces of art, and like each of his murders, he thinks of as artistic, almost. It's definitely got shades of Dexter there, but much darker. And I remember there's a bunch of this Lars Van Trier 2018 movie, huge controversy when the movie came out, and I didn't know what I'm not a giant Lars Van Trier fan, but I was curious, and I liked that Matt Dillon quite a bit, and he was good in this, and I watched it, and they said that it was just if you hate women, you're gonna love this movie, and that's not
What's it called again? I'm asking for Avery.
And it's the. So anyways, he is cultured. You get that he's like almost a more realistic Patrick Bateman. And I can't say I recommend this movie, but there's a scene where he's taking a portrait of his new family that is so wrong that it is quite very, very funny. He's setting up the camera to take the picture, with his new wife and she's got kids already. So like they have a family. And then that's when he lets it be known that he's actually not in for that. He's just in for the murder, and he gives them how much time they have to start running away. It's that part. There was a few scenes that were very funny, but yeah, it's grisly. It's tough to watch, but he is cultured. Jack, that Jack built.
Here's a film that doesn't get brought up on the show very often. Listeners of the Adam Carolla show will remember that I actually said to Gina Grad once that this movie
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. He's winding up to really give himself a nice big solid.
Oh no.
This will be a two-hander.
Are you unsliding the pants on, right?
But just look at my shoulders here. I said to Gina Grad once, I'm like, this is the best example of that kind of movie from that era. Those movies are of varying quality, but this is about as good as it gets. And I'm talking about Crimson Tide. Captain Frank Ramsey, played by Gene Hackman in Crimson Tide. He is of course, the captain of the USS Alabama submarine. He quotes On War, the book by Karl von Clausewitz, from memory. He's a very learned, well-read man. He engages in philosophical debates over the meaning of the quote with his subordinate officers. He listens to Beethoven and Schubert in his quarters during quieter moments. And he has an ongoing dialogue with Denzel Washington about Lipin's Honor Stallions. I had not heard of these things, but they're a type of horse that is native to Spain or Portugal, depending on what side of the debate you come down on, because that is a point of contention between Mr. Denzel Washington and Mr. Gene Hackman throughout the film. But Avery, you've got to have seen Crimson Tide.
I have not seen Crimson Tide.
I'll be into. I would recommend it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's very smart, and of those type of it's a Tony Scott movie. So of those,
I liked it much more than Red October. But that said, they're both very red, light, claustrophobic.
Oh, completely. Of those type of movies.
Have we done top 5 submarine movies? Holy shit, there's so many. Oh yeah. Top 5 sub movies.
Anyway, fun fact: uncredited rewrite by Quentin Tarantino, which actually that's not as good as it sounds because it sticks out like a sore thumb. Like at a certain point, they're under threat of nuclear war with this nuclear submarine, and all of a sudden they start talking about the Silver Surfer. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, this doesn't really fit the movie, and I can see Tarantino's fingerprints all over it. That said,
killing the N-word for
yeah. Oh, dude, no joke.
This
funny.
This girl shows up, and she doesn't even belong on it. She's just in the back, and she's just dirty, bare feet. And
yeah. Actually, I didn't know this, but I read earlier in my research that apparently there was some on-set feuding between Denzel Washington and Tarantino over some of the racial stuff in the script, which I don't think made the final cut because I don't remember anything overtly racial. It's all kind of subtle, but they apparently patched it up years later.
And on what movie?
Maybe off. Not everything happens on front of a camera, Anderson.
Everything has to happen in front of a camera or on a movie set. Yeah.
That said, Avery, I do recommend this. This is a smart movie. This is a good movie, and it's very of the era. That said, it's a solid watch.
I heard
Add it
someone
to the
said
list.
it's the most of the era of its time, whatever that
It
means.
might be.
I wouldn't say
I
that.
mean,
I think Gina Grad said that.
It's the most this kind of movie of that era, but not. I don't know what kind of movie that person was talking about.
I think you're misquoting a very smart film historian who said it was the best example of that kind of movie.
But what kind of movie is that kind of movie? Which
You
was
would
left
lump
out
that in
is
with like a
very
lot of
smart.
Michael Bay movies, a lot of Tony Scott movies, like that very 90s action.
What I think is what he's
films.
looking for is 90s action, but he didn't say.
Sure, but that sort of over the top, very cool 90s action.
Who fumbled that so badly? Who was talking that way?
No, I feel like it was well articulated, actually.
It's a very cogent point that they were making.
Number 3 for me, as a 35-year-old man, I guess it's not that important. How old
It's
John?
not at all. This is a weird gimmick.
Well, it's because the older you get, the more cultured you get. I was going to point that out, but fucking Jack and the house that he built screwed it all up because he's 54. He's the oldest on my list. But now the age all sorts itself out here, Brian. With number 3 being my youngest who's left on the list. His name is we don't know his name, so we're just going to call him John, Mr. Doe, Mr. John Doe in the movie Seven.
Good one.
Very cultured, a very
He's
smart,
learned. Yeah.
learned. He's a tortured soul, but obviously, I mean, right down talking about like Jack and how his kills for art. I mean, same thing with John Doe, but they're all biblical, artistic, biblical. Like,
actually, not biblical. I believe it comes from John Milton, which is a writing about the Bible. Small difference, but carry on.
Well, Milton's the one who came up with the 7 deadly sins.
I believe, Avery, can you Google that? I might be wrong and I might be showing my ass here. So if that's the case.
I just thought that it was stated somewhere on I'm not much of a, and you could very well be right, but I mean, I'm not gonna die on this hill. But yeah, anyways, John Doe.
Neither am I. I actually could be wrong.
Said to have originated from a list of 8 sins written by Christian monk Evagrius Ponticus in 375 AD.
Oh.
So
300 years.
I think so. 7 deadly sins also described in a few Bible verses, such as Matthew 5:19.
There you go.
I would think that it would have started somewhere in the old Bible over there, right? Like I don't know, but I don't know. They pull things out of thin air for the Bible quite often. But yeah, he also likes the works of William Shakespeare. Oh yeah, Chaucer. I'm reading off of tropes here. Milton, Dante, the Marquis de Sade, Saint Thomas Aquinas.
Saint Thomas
Aquinas as inspirations for his crimes. I was out doing some real estate, if you must know, Brian, like a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I told you guys this. And I was driving deep in Lancaster. Somebody who definitely wants to live off the grid. One of my clients. And I was deep in Lancaster because they got some houses out there that are it's flat land, but it's just surrounded by 3-4 acres of just nothing. And they have a fence all the way around. The house is right in the middle of it. Anyways, I'm driving out there and I'm looking up. I'm on this long stretch of road, like the only person out there, and I see a couple of those power station electrical towers, and I'm like, oh my god, this has to be it. This has to be where What's in the Box was shot. It has to be. And I looked it up while driving down this desolate road, and sure enough, for at the end scene of 7, it just says Lancaster. I'm like, this is it.
Oh, that's
I
great.
had no idea. Pretty cool.
Did you tell your client that? And he was like, perfect.
That's
what I want.
What happened, I did tell my client that because he's out of state, and I talked to him like later that day about what I saw, and I sent him the video of what I shot for him. And I was all excited to tell him. I'm like, I realizing that this might not be a good sell, but still, like I was pumped. And he didn't get the reference. He's heard of 7, but he's never seen it. Younger guy, the younger kid, But
it's just making me angry that he's younger and has not seen 7, but he's getting a house.
I'm admonished. I told him that he must go see it before I talk to him about any more houses. Still waiting to hear back.
I do look like a fool because even though
You haven't seen
Milton
7 either? What?
wrote about the seven deadly sins of Paradise Lost, that was 1,000 years later. So they for sure came around, like Avery said, in the 300s, I guess.
Brian, let it go. Okay.
No, I
I know
learned
that you've been
something today.
trying. I know that you've been trying to pass yourself off as cultured for decades.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
That's
my
out
whole
of the
gimmick.
bag. You're not cultured, nor are you a Star Wars nerd. All right, you're a good
I'm
guy
a cultured Star Wars nerd.
who can laugh at himself. We all know
That's
that.
right. Hey, you want to take a quick break?
The eyebrows go up. That's right.
It's like, oh, something good. Yes, I am that.
Oh, Avery, was that you that or? All right, we'll talk about that after the break.
Okay. Breakdown.
Was it obviously? I don't think it was you. It was probably Eric Kath who made it so that if you look at last week's video, you see it's queued up so that if you go to the link of the show on YouTube from last week, it's Bryan doing that thing where he freaked out and you were asking him about.
That's certainly Eric Kath, but now I need to see this.
Yeah,
What was it? I'm trying to think of the context.
Oh, it was Matrix. It was the Matrix movie. You were talking to you're like, you like Matrix Reloaded, don't you?
Oh, Matrix. Yes, it was.
I watched it a few times. Had some good laughs. Thank you, Eric Kath, for making that the end point when you click
There was
on it.
no hesitation.
It was almost like somebody was about to take away your dessert and that you have been waiting all year to have and was going to save your life or something.
It was like someone said Marco in the pool, and I just reflexively said Polo.
With intensity. All right, be right back.
Be right back with the Amazon purchases after this. Thank you in advance to everyone who continues to support the show by tapping the Amazon link and the banner over there at AndersonandBryan.com. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for continuing to help the show. We appreciate every little purchase made, big and little. Some of those include an AC and hold on a second. Turn this fucking light off. All right. An AC Infinity Cloudline Pro inline duct fan, a DeWalt Max Bluetooth radio, and a DeWalt Max cordless drill and impact driver. Someone got themselves an HP Smart Tank all-in-one printer, as well as a HP LaserJet Pro printer was picked up. Lenovo ThinkPad USC dock. Wilson Profile Junior Complete Golf Set. Ice Spring water filter system was purchased. Someone got a 509 Raid double boa boot. I assume it's a pair of boots. If it was just one. Canon 8-pack printer ink was purchased, as well as Brother printer toner cartridge, EKWB EK Loop computer pump, 100 sandbaggy landscape. Oh no, I take it back. 1,000 sandbaggy landscape staples were purchased. ZDRT outer space canvas wall art on it. Alpha Brain Premium Nootropic brain supplement. Heat press machine. That's all it says. A heat press machine. I believe that's for making t-shirts or iron on, whatever. Isopure protein powder. Bronco Billy's turkey jerky. Epabina LED desk lamp. Apiac. Cordless weed whacker. 200 feet of bright ever outdoor string lights. Boise paper X9 multi-use copy paper. 4 of the Honest Company cleansing shampoo and body wash all in one for baby. On it. American flag. Fuck yeah. 4th of July coming. Get your American flags. And finally, purchased on that link was a pair of Bernie Mev women's cuddly slip-ons. Nailed it.
Hey, the movie there, click through. It's the last time I talked to the show. Somebody clicked through and got The Witches of Eastwick, as well as Waking Life, Breaking Away, Men in Black, Braveheart was clicked through. You got to say fuck to the S with the Braveheart. Hey, as well as Breaking Away. Never seen that Waking Life, though. Love and Monsters. Fuck to the S with the Love and Monsters. The World to Come. The Guest was clicked through. This is the Guest. I think the Guest is a fuck to the S. I think so. Sisu.
There's no coffee table.
Sisu was click through as well. That's a part
Oh,
of
Sisu is a fuck to
very
the ass.
fucked. The one thing that I really had an issue with Sisu, I was told I'm a fool, and it is not true. So it involved underwater breathing. If you and I was showing the errors of my ways, and I believe it might have been my buddy Eric who let me know. But yeah, apparently that could happen at least a few times.
That was sweet.
Love Lies Bleeding available for the click through, as well as Civil War 2 2024.
I'll give both of those fuck to the yes.
Both of those are now available. Both are in my top 10 so far this year, which doesn't say a whole lot because it's still early, but still, both are in there right now. I Am Love was clicked through, as well as Bill Durham.
Bull Durham?
Is it Bill?
Bull Durham. That's why I paused. I knew I had read something wrong. It didn't sound right.
Wait, I have to ask you a question.
Bill Durham.
Does it say Bill or Bull?
It says Bull, but I read
That's
Bill.
weird because Amazon had a typo on that listing. Whoever's selling it typed that as Bill, and I copied over Bill Durham. I'm like, that can't be right. So I went and looked, and it was in fact a typo that I corrected, and you uncorrected it without knowing.
Are we sure that I did, or did you just hear it that way?
You said Bill Avery.
Oh, he said Bill. It was Bill.
That is weird, guys. That's fucking weird.
That's really bizarre.
Is there someone listening named Bill Durham? If so, please email me because I feel like we need to contact you.
Bill Durham's a great name.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Actually, it's terrible because you're just fucked. If I have to deal with Mr. Anderson every time I meet someone new, I'm sure poor Bill Durham. I mean, people probably daily go, have you ever heard of a movie called Bull Durham?
Sounds like he's got a car dealership in like North Carolina. Like, go on down to Bill Durham.
Go on down to Billy D. Chevrolet.
Billy D's Chev.
Somebody clicked through and got the complete 5 DVD set of Cops.
Oh my. He likes the show Cops.
Cops. Hey. Heathers was clicked through. Fuck the yes with the Heathers, as well as Tom. Somebody recently, I think it might have been a Fanfliction suggesting that Heather is no good.
No, fuck off. Heather's is great.
Great. Tom Cruise 10 movie collection was clicked through. That Tom Cruise underrated, really. He really is underrated.
Finally, someone said it.
We've been saying that, Brian. You agree with me on this? Like his name is bigger than he
sure.
A lot of preconceived notions out there, and his reputation precedes him. And people all think about the Scientology and jumping on Oprah's couch and all that shit. But he's a great fucking actor, and I think that gets lost. Well, they also think about, he's like a fly on the side of the plane. That's really him doing the mocks in the jet. It's like, fuck all that. He's a great fucking actor. He's a really good actor. It gets lost, right?
Agreed.
Girl Fight was clicked through, as well as career opportunities. Thank you very much, everybody, for clicking through. And now back to the program.
Hey, welcome back. Time to count down the remaining. Oh, I almost said charismatic. Cultured Villains, sophisticated, learned. Should I go with the one that I teased earlier?
You know why the Witches of Eastwick was clicked through, Brian? In the is George Miller directed it, so it is somewhat.
That's right. That's right.
Even though it's an older movie.
We talked about this. That's right. Yes,
I don't think I've seen Witches since it came out. Maybe I saw it like on HBO, and I remember just thinking, this is not made for me. I feel uncomfortable. This movie makes me feel uncomfortable. Maybe I should go back and try and find some George Miller themes in there. I wonder if Jack Nicholson ever says mediocre or lady and gentlemen's. Oh, you think he says either one of those?
Start your witches.
We'd have to go back and start your brooms.
Brian, start your witches. Start your. All right, let's go. Sorry.
Number 2 for me. I would have had to take a long look in the mirror. Anderson.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Hey, you know what would be better with Bean? This list. Johnny Ringo, played by Michael Bean in Tombstone from 1993.
I'm let down.
What?
I'm let down. Like Val Kilmer character, same thing, right? Like he was pretty cultured, wasn't he?
True, but he's not the villain.
Oh, that's true. Well, he was a villain in my eyes because he was played by.
I would say tuberculosis was the villain in that case to kill his lungs. However, I am talking about Johnny Ringo, Curly Bill's refined and gentlemanly henchman. He speaks Spanish so fluently that he actually corrects the gang's actual Spanish-speaking translator. He identifies and quotes a Bible verse and translates it from Spanish. And then later, he holds a full conversation with Doc Holliday in Latin. So he speaks at least 3 languages. After which he shows off some pretty nifty gun twirling, which probably took a while to learn. So a culture villain for sure.
Did you make sure there weren't any edits that allowed him to be better at twirling than?
Well, of course there were edits, but he did the gun twirl. Didn't we talk to Michael Biehn about this on this show?
I don't. You may have. Now, Brian, that part you mentioned towards the top that proves that he's cultured, where he's correcting people. And what was that part again?
So the Spanish priest or the Mexican priest that they're conflicting with at first, he's telling them that like he's cursing at them in Spanish, and then the Curly Bill says, "Hey, Eduardo, what was that guy saying?" He's like, he's talking crazy. He's talking about like a sick horse or something,
Careful.
and then Bean is like, "You idiot! Your Spanish is worse than your English." He's talking about Then later, he's like, he was quoting the Bible. He was talking about death riding a pale horse and coming for revenge.
When the man comes around.
That's right.
Does that get you like? I would imagine that scene for you, it being him correcting someone and showing someone up, like that's like what most of us feel when it's like the satisfaction, like the satisfaction that you must get is like just what most of us would feel with the protagonist, that you're really getting, an antagonist getting his comeback, right?
Yes, when the villain gets killed at the end.
It's the perfect scene. If that's what you're getting at, yes. And also, I remember as a young boy.
After he just hit a grand slam, he went to the theater and saw this.
I walked to the theater and I was like, I was confused of why the climactic scene was happening at the beginning.
Brian got up and started to walk out, and he was confused that people didn't follow him.
Yeah. I must have got the time wrong. The movie must start already.
Have we done that most? We can't really do that because it gives everything away. But most satisfying comeuppance or most satisfying. Hey, before we get too far down the road,
I feel like we did comeuppance at one point.
We might have done comeuppance. We got a couple assignments here from the good old listeners. Matt Rixner, my boy, Matt Rixner. We are going to do Judgment at Nuremberg for him. Judgment at Nuremberg. He says it seems like homework, but he promises us that it is not. We also have Jujutsu Kaisen coming up for Tyler, just Tyler, or Tyler Booth as we know him. And then for Jake Werner, I'm a little bit nervous about this, Brian. I don't know if we let it stew long enough. Maybe if you want to push it down a week further. He's a decider. Jake Werner is. We owe him a decider list. Maybe a couple by now. But it's random things you've learned from movies. And I keep thinking of other possibilities, and I'm just afraid of us doing the episode before I have a worthy list, because all you can recall.
Before it's cooked.
Yeah.
I agree. This should not be a half-baked list.
So do you want to, I brought it up a couple of weeks ago. I want you to start letting it marinate and start thinking of random things. Because I'm watching movies now. I'm like, hey, I didn't know that. That could be on the list. But I mean, how many thousands of times does that happen in movies? How many things have
For me, pretty rare.
All right, number is it number 2 for me? Is that where we are?
I think so.
All right, number 2.
I think Tombstone is one of the rare times I'm fully in lockstep with Brian, where I think I might love the movie as much as Brian does.
Wow, that's hard to do.
It's good. I remember that's great. I was like heavily reading like the trades, like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety back then when this was all going on. So I remember being very excited about both movies, that and Wyatt Earp, and picking sides, and it was a big to do in Hollywood at the time.
Tombstone is also a movie that, more than it needs to be, is actually historically accurate.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of stuff in there that actually happened. A lot of people, a lot of characters, and it's like,
well, that's where a lot of my dislike of what's his fuck came from too. Was like how he was kind of bullying, from the stories that I read anyways. Like, Wyatt Earp was bullying Tombstone, and they were getting all the costumes before, so that they were taking all the resources away from Tombstone.
Oh, I see.
And he was using his Kevin Costner power back then, because they were both in a race to make essentially a very, very similar movie. with big budgets with different competing studios, and Kevin Costner was. Yeah, that's also reading all that shit, believing it probably too. I don't know how much it was true. Anyways, number two for me is a 41-year-old man named Hans Gruber. He's one of the three Hanses that we already mentioned, of course, from Die Hard, 1988, when Die Hard came out. And Hans is a cultured man, classical education, and he speaks with the German accent, which I'll just, it gives most people, whether it's British or German, it makes you feel like they're smarter than they probably are.
Well, he speaks two languages, you got to imagine.
Well, I don't imagine it because I heard him speak the German in the
That's
movie.
a good point. Yeah, right. He does speak German in the film.
Heard him speak the English as well in the movie. So, also the film composer. I'm getting this off of the TV tropes over there. Michael Kamen was the film composer, and he called him a lineal descendant of the bad guys in A Clockwork Orange, because Beethoven's Ode to Joy was his leitmotif, Brian. So
not only that, he's humming Ode to Joy in the elevator. I don't know if you caught that or not. When he's going do 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 do, he's doing do do do. He's humming Ode.
It is Christmas, Theo. It is the time for miracles.
That's right.
He's humming his own leitmotif. Yes, I like that.
That's right.
All right, so that's my number two, Hans Gruber. I mean, he's like, if it wasn't for my number one, he would just be the prototypical, like the archetype of what we're doing here. What I was saying here in the episode.
I can leave him off my list because you have him. I will add, however, that I did all the research on this for just in case. He identifies from sight Takagi's the specific tailor in London who made the suit that Takagi's wearing. He's like, I have two myself. Yeah, he obviously is a lover of fine threads.
Lover of fine things, which I don't understand, never will. I never will. I mean, I understand, quality and appreciating good quality, but I just always see insecure people trying to ensconce themselves in things that are better than what they think they are. And like, they're just trying to prove that their outside is worthy of it. Just
feels like projection.
I don't think so, because I drive pieces of shit. I wear pieces of shit.
No, that's what I'm saying. Were you to do that, that's how you would feel.
I don't do that because I don't want to feel that way.
There you go.
I mean, but bed, like I will, have the best quality sheets and stuff because I want to be able to be comfortable and when I'm sleeping. But as soon as I'm going outside, I'm not trying to project to the world like
I understand that.
I am better than you. And I think a lot of people who dress like that, I've looked for houses for people who tell me straight up, like, I want to be able to look down on people, so I want to be up on a hill.
Wow,
that's feel good. Like, there's a lot of psychology going on out there.
Seriously, that's
I don't doubt that, but I don't think that's everybody.
I know it's not everybody, but you see the people in the white Mercedes, it might be them.
Well, that's an entirely different type of person. I can't disagree with that.
Number two, number one for me.
Also, I think of you, Brian, because you're Mr. Quality. We all know this.
That's true.
Like, you're the kind of guy that would turn up your nose at like a fine looking suit. You'd be like, "What's the brand, though?"
No.
Like, oh yeah.
No. And I would turn my nose up at certain aspects, but not the brand. That's where I cut it off. Like, I silently judge, not so silently, judge like people who wear like the collars with the buttons. You know what I mean? Button down collars. If you were there with a suit, like a nice suit, that's low class. Don't do that.
Who told you that? Who told you that that's low class?
I'm telling you.
Okay, what makes that low class?
It just is. It's like
that's not an answer at all.
It's like
I've decided that if you have a button up here, it's low fucking class. Which actions are low class. You having a button up here is not low fucking class. Like that
I will hedge my bet and meet you halfway and say it's too casual to wear with a suit, and thus your lack of awareness on that is low class.
You'd have to blend it. You have to do like a blazer with some jeans there.
Yeah, there you go. I wore that on Saturday.
Brian, where is it? You know what you've kind of worked out of your repertoire, or your collection, your closet is the checkered short sleeve button colored shirt. That's all you wore for a while.
I know. I go through eras.
Eras.
I'm in my polo era.
You are. I like it. It's a good era. I don't like it because for the longest time you were wearing like tablecloths.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I know. I can always identify how old I was in any picture.
Because what do you do with your old clothes? You toss them or give them away, or
Well,
Keep 'em-
here's where it gets sad. I lost too much weight through my cancer treatment, and I had to get rid of a bunch of clothes.
No, I'm talking about like a couple years ago. You're Mr.
Yeah,
Taylor.
no, yes, a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was over COVID where you were going through that hardcore treatment and like, yeah, you got thin.
I
You got
did.
thin.
I got down to 133 pounds.
Is that not much?
That's not much. That's probably about what your wife weighs.
How about you eat? Do not talk about my fucking wife. Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Hey, you know what? Why don't you eat a hamburger? Why don't you eat a cheeseburger, kid? Put on some weight.
I would love that. Actually, I put on long story short.
He was about to stand up and show me. You see that?
No, I'm leaning forward.
He's about to show off his abs.
Put on some good weight over the last couple months. That said, and the other thing I will judge you about, and again, silently, if you're rocking a tie and you got the half Windsor instead of the Windsor knot, I notice.
Oh, Jesus, see? That kind of shit.
It's notable.
It's fucking smug, and it's
I'm just saying, I notice.
You're like,
oh, Mr. Half Windsor.
Which order? Which
I think so.
order to tie?
The full
What's
Windsor, I feel like sometimes there's not enough fabric to actually get it off without it
Well,
looking.
you're getting the wrong tie there, buddy.
Here's how uncultured I am. I don't know what a fucking Windsor is. Don't give a shit. Hey,
you know those tie that looks lopsided versus the one that's like very even? The knot.
Right.
The stereotypical cartoon tie that you always see is a full Windsor, where it looks like a triangle and then a longer triangle. The half Windsor looks a little asymmetrical.
Askew.
It's more like what you do with a skinny tie.
I try and make the dimple in there. Also,
nice.
Big and as square as possible.
Well, now you're talking double Windsor.
I don't do that. Hey, while we're on off-roading here,
do you have tie clips? I do.
No tie clips.
I do need some.
They're douche. They're gauche.
Nope.
All right, hey, real quick. I mean, looking at our YouTube video, I did see a comment, which I can see where they're coming from. They were getting a little bit upset with last week's show, and Avery and I broing out, as this guy were to say it, talking about a show that's 10 years old in Rick and Morty. Which, hey, you'll be glad to know, listener. Then he also followed up with love the show, by the way. So, I like it when people say, hey, don't get me wrong. It wasn't my part of the 20 years of the show that you've been doing. You guys broing out about Rick and Morty, 10-year-old.
This was a low point, but I love the rest.
Yeah, the show Rick and Morty, to our defense, is continuing. Like there's
that's true.
It's not like it's like last episode was 10
It'd
years.
be like if we were talking Curbed, and you're like, oh, 20-year-old show.
Yeah. But here, let me just say this about it real quick. I was falling off the tracks with Rick and Morty, and then we'll get back. I just finished season 4. Okay,
let's talk some more about it.
Season 1 of season 4 was fucking great, and then episode 2, season 4, episode 3, and episode 4 were all fucking, in my opinion, trash.
Kind of clunkers, yeah.
And clunkers, and I'm like, oh no, they're losing. And then by the end of season 4, I was so pleased to see them refer to, especially the dragon episode, as absolute horseshit and a terrible show, because they do a lot of fourth wall. They even do fifth wall breaking, Brian, where like they go inside the brain.
What does that mean?
I felt so justified more than multiple times. They call back
the fifth wall, the ceiling.
It's your subconscious. It's like the character's like conscious, talking to the audience.
Sure.
Like, so that's it was pretty good. I felt justified. Right. And now I'm excited to watch season 5.
Season 5 has some strong moments.
I'm done talking about Rick and Morty for now. All right. Could do without all the scat though. There's quite a bit of it.
You're done.
I'm finished now.
It's elevated scat though.
I wouldn't say that. I'm done. I'm finished. Well, actually, yeah. When he's farting, like sometimes his butt will grow another butt and do it twice, just to be more offensive.
Or butt will come out of his watch and fart.
That does happen. Yes. Okay. All right. Fucking so many little they did a reference to a movie that we just saw with the red dwarf, with the red slicker dwarf at the end. Donald Sutherland. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the movie. This is not good for anyone I know. What's the name of that movie? We just watched it for a listener. God damn it, Brian.
You're derailing the show badly.
Venice. Remember it? It all took place in Venice. Do you remember this?
In Venice, Italy?
There is an episode where they kind of began on, I'm talking about something different now, where they kind of began down this one road of the imperialists essentially taking over. And the lead dude from Firefly guest starred in that one. Not coincidental.
Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Fillion was in that episode because we're doing essentially Firefly, which was doing Star Wars, which is pretty fucking good, about the Alliance and fighting against the Alliance. And I'm like, and I didn't even hear his voice until I saw the credits. I'm like, Nathan Fillion was in there. Of course he was. All right.
Enjoyable.
Let's move on. Sorry. Apologies. I'm ruining the show. And at least I'm owning it. Right.
I mean, that's a flimsy defense, but yeah. Number one for me. Yeah, I killed my kid, but yeah, I own it. Number one for me. I'm glad that you had Hans Gruber on your list because that frees me up to have Hans Landa.
Really?
Played by, absolutely, played by Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. The man speaks at least 4 languages, Anderson, fluently. He is a lover of cinema and as well as fine dining, as evident.
Lover of cream.
That's right. His affinity for the dessert strudels at the restaurant where he orders for himself and for Emmanuel, who's actually a Shoshana in disguise, insisting that they wait to eat the strudel until the creme, or wait for the creme. And later he actually, in a subtler move, leans over and lights a cigarette. A very, very sophisticated move for that era.
I hate these things so much. I hate that come up at all. That I hate cultured people or people that consider themselves cultured, which is just this artificial construct that they all just follow to others.
There's one I should have had.
I hate it so
Jeff Daniels from Scud and the Whale.
He's on my also rants, Brian.
Oh, so
he
good.
wasn't enough of a villain, even though he was.
Yeah, I know he's not a villain at all. Actually,
I felt like a little bit too clever, but yeah, he's one of my main also rants. But he's also faux, culture. Like he wants to be cultured so bad. There's something about that.
Faux culture is a good way to put it.
You try too hard, I think, and if you're being cultured for the wrong reasons, which I think a lot of fucks are. Like they just want to come off.
He's
culture.
the guy you described, which is, he wants to project culture and sophistication.
But he doesn't do it to the point where he's dressing up and going out. I mean, that's the
but he won't shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, he won't shut the fuck up. But he's intellectually cultured as opposed to culture, materialistically cultured. There's different levels of, and wait for the creme. You just want to fucking curb stomp that guy, Fucking.
I like how that's your biggest problem with Landa.
Well, I mean, there's plenty. I almost made the crass, like it's up there with, but I didn't do it. It's just he's a horrible, horrible human being. That is magnetic and fun to watch, though, especially with come up.
Who's number one?
I'm going with a third and final Han, the Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he's the number one. I don't. What more do I need to say? However, I did come across I guess there's a difference in the movie with Chianti, and he talks about a different type of wine that he would enjoy the fava beans and the liver with in the book. And there was a question as to, I guess, Chianti, and Brian, you're cultured.
I'm just about to jump in.
Yeah, jump on it. I guess it's more of like a table wine.
Yes, I say Chianti is not a fine wine. It's
something Hannibal Lecter probably would not be drinking, and also he mispronounces it. Apparently, he says
it's Chianti.
So there's a debate or a suggestion, theory that perhaps what he's doing there, and this is one that I prescribe to, especially after watching the scene again, is that he was actually making light or fun of the rustic ways of Clarice.
Jodie Foster. Yeah, I can see that because he does that. He does that occasionally.
He was mocking her, but I don't know why he was mocking her when he's suggesting what he's going to be eating that night.
Yeah, but here's how someone of your stature would say this.
Yeah, perhaps.
Or perhaps you've heard this word pronounced this way.
But I mean, even when he kills a guard, he strings them up in a very artistic way that is meant to look like a famous. I looked it up, but I can't remember. It's one of those Venetian paintings, and then from back in the. I sound uncultured.
Let's not forget that. In the sequel, he's a curator of art in Venice, Italy.
That's right. Yeah. So he knows his shit. Obviously the charcoal drawings, and the man is like the epitome of the cultured villain. And
he's also incredibly crass, which I like.
He draws is it the Sydney Opera House? He's drawing something from memory.
Yeah, because he has no windows.
Yeah.
They have a window in one of his cells, and He's going off of what he
But then it
remembers.
makes it more jarring when he's very crass, like when he's like, "Did you fuck her? Did you make you perform fellatio?" Just it's very.
But even the
he
way he's
drills
doing
down
that
into-
is very,
Yes, it's
very
very yes,
refined,
but
and
it's
he's using the appropriate terms.
yes,
That's just cat and mouse shit, and he's toying. But like that, whereas most villains
Oh.
are much more like Migs, right?
yes,
I didn't do the research on this one, so all this is rushing back in real time. Remember, he tells a story where he was so offended by how bad the I think the violinist or someone was in the opera that he
Ate her.
killed them and ate them so as to improve the sound of the orchestra.
I always think about how Clarice suggests that at the end of the movie where he knows where she is and he's free and like I think it's her boss says, "Are you worried?" And she's like, "No, he would never come after
You
me."
find that rude.
He would find that rude. I mean, that shows that he's
Yeah.
refined and cultured, right?
yes.
He would consider
Yes.
that to be rude. Hard to explain, but like right there. I mean, that kind of sums it all up. And you believe it too. I don't think he would come after her. That he
No.
would consider that rude. That's outside the lines. Yes.
I remember he's listening to orchestral music in his cell. He's a cultured man.
cultured man. So all right. Very nice. Very good.
Oh, I want to hear the listener top 5.
Listener top 5, compiled by the Goose. Number 5 is in fact the spoiler that I was referencing earlier, so I will just say it's the villain in the movie with the big blue penis. And if you know what that is, then you've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. Number 4 is a tie.
Free Willy.
The third Smurfs movie.
Yes.
Free
It's
Willy
actually
was
Trolls.
Gargamel
Tie.
all down and Dingaling Smurf actually is the one. Dingaling Smurf. Yeah.
Cruella de Vil and Marquis Vincent Bisset de Gramont and John Wick 4.
Oh wow,
Oh, is
Number
that
3 is
what's his that's Pennywise, right? I like that guy a lot.
that's yeah, Skarsgård.
yes, Bill.
Luke. Billy
Skars.
Skarsgård.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Bill Durham.
No. No. Number 3, a tie between Eric Quaylen and Cliffhanger and Eddie Temple and Layer Cake.
Cliffhanger back to back.
There's some deeper polls than I was expecting.
Number 2.
Top 5 stunts a few weeks ago.
Number 2, Hans Gruber from Die Hard. And then, of course, number 1 is Hannibal Lecter.
Hanny.
Nice.
Like what I was starting to say early in the episode, Brian, was when it's this narrow of a feel, I feel like just like we have to put him on. Now, if it's like wider, right? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like
I'm glad he was on there. He's a worthy number 1.
And there was plenty of cultured villains before this too. I mean, some of the the old gangster movies would have like
the Bond series I left off intentionally, but
you could have done all
populated
Bond.
with so
Yeah.
many, yeah.
Dastardly deeds these characters do. So all right, let's get out of here. Do also
I'd like to acknowledge. I'd like you to acknowledge the restraint shown by me by not having Vizzini from The Princess Bride, Wallace Shawn, a culture villain.
won't do it.
All right.
I won't give that to you. Also rents for me, Hans Lott, obviously already on there. Eddie Temple and Layer Cake, very, very refined and cultured. Also old, so he could have been towards the top of my list. Victoria and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Very similar movies because one's Matthew Vaughn and one's Guy Ritchie, and they both feel very similar in their styles of making movies. Casanova Frankenstein, which you mentioned already. Clytus Flash in Flash. I mean Clytus and Flash Gordon. I couldn't do it. Couldn't get enough examples. Squid and the Whale. Daniel, what's his name?
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. Thank you, guys. And then Kindergarten Cop, Tyson, Richard Tice.
Oh, is he cultured?
To an extent, I couldn't get enough. I wanted to put him on the list bad, but I couldn't. He's more vain, and he's got that. I want to be cultured. I want to wear the finest things. Like if you recall when he gets arrested, he's like, "I'm trying to get a manicure."
Oh, I've got a
yeah.
good one. I just thought of Beverly Hills Cop, Victor Maitland.
Victor Maitland, that's right. Speaking of Anderson of wanting to be cultured, had this list been a little thinner, I might have snuck Derschenkel on there from our recent what was the one we liked?
Oh, Bastarden.
He wants so bad to be cultured. I don't think he gets there, but he insists on being called Der Schinkel.
Yeah, he's all maybe his recency biased, but I think that's why he hasn't been on our list. Maybe, but like he was almost on what was it, the characters that we did just recently. Like he almost was on there for me. What was the list we did a couple weeks ago?
Was it douches?
It was gonna be weasels. It was rich douches, was it? Or we just did. It was your topic. You came up with it.
I think we re-upped douches. I think is what it was. Yeah, top 5 douchiest characters. That was 3.
It was just douchey. It wasn't specific types.
I think it was just douchey.
I think you're wrong, but okay.
He is a douche.
He is.
And
one more time for the lovely ladies. It's like no, the lovely ladies.
The crowd is not on your side, sir.
Hate it. They really don't like it.
Recency bias.
He was imagining the ladies going, "Yes, more hot boiling water for that suffering man. We love you."
They're not enjoying this, sir. You've lost the crowd.
Ray Fiennes from The Menu.
Oh yeah, it was douchebags updated. Son of a bitch.
Ray Fiennes from The Menu.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Ray Fiennes from The Menu. Ricardo Montalban from The Naked Gun. What else do I have here? You can make a case for Jack Nicholson's Joker from Batman being cultured. He loves art.
Or The Shining.
The Shining? I don't know if he's a writer, I guess, but anyway.
He's cultured.
All right, Anderson's got to get out of here, so let's gamble and wrap it up.
Blame it on me.
Gambling.
It was like 20 minutes late.
I could stay all day.
Hey, why were you so late there, Brad? I gave you an extra 15 minutes right off the bat, and then I was telling Avery this, well, because he got there on time. I was telling him that 100% of the time, I think it is, that you and I are doing something remote, and we do it 3-4 times a month. Every single time you're late. Every time.
Do you want to? You're gonna feel bad now because we did the show at 8:30 in the morning, and I had my cancer medication treatment gave me a bit of a bathroom emergency, so time was needed.
Okay, well, I'll feel bad for this time, but what about all the other times?
That's every time.
he actually does the treatment to buy himself more time.
Oh, I'm cured. Then I clear. I've been clear for 12 years.
Yeah. You just use that medication. Can't go to the bathroom. Sorry. All right.
I'm like, Doc, can you re-up my chemo? He's like, but you have no evidence of disease. I'm like, can't we just safe?
Stupid. Again. Dumb. Okay. Avery, what are we doing?
Last week, we gambled on Bad Boys Ride or Die. Anderson guessed 76, Bryan 77.
Fuck.
With 173 reviews, the actual Rotten Tomatoes score is 64%, making Anderson the winner.
This is like the third week I've lost by 1 point.
Bryan, that's you and me.
You've gone like 1 for 10. If this was the current streaks in sports, you're like 1 for 10.
We will be watching a movie called Snack Shack. We got to rent it. It's kind of embarrassing that I've not seen this yet. The reason being is I like Adam Reimer's last movie so much in Dinner in America that I'm afraid of having similar styles, vibes, tones, take anything away from my love of Dinner in America, which is weird, I know, but it's a real thing that can happen. And it's happened to me in the past. I have not seen any of his other movies yet. So we're gonna change that. His newest one, it's his follow-up to Dinner in America, and I'm hearing that it's got similar vibes, but it's very, very good. And it is called Snack Shack. The poster looks god awful. I'm gonna let that go.
I feel like a lot of independent movies these days have atrocious posters.
Nothing to fight with your distributor. You can't. Even if I knew the groupers would be more successful with the poster that they tried to set forth, I would have taken failure and even harsher critic and less people. Like, it's just the poster was just no. I will never let it see the light of day. It was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen, and we had to go back and forth. Got really uncomfortable with my distributor, but I'm like, I just can't have this be the movies. Most people will see way more people are going to see your poster than anything else about your movie. I can't have that.
Oh yeah,
out. You know what I mean? It's really important, and
especially in the day of streaming. Yeah.
Snack Shack is that poster right there. That looks like something I would never, ever, ever want to look at. It looks like Wet Hot American Summer meets Meatballs. What's the other one from back then?
It's of the era where it's a summer camp.
What was
I
it?
don't know what you're thinking of.
Meatballs, and there was another one that had a first
Wet
one.
Hot American Summer.
It looks
Well, like
the way
American
back is
Pie.
the one called the way back or something.
Oh
Isn't that
yeah,
about
that one's a
summer
bad
camp?
poster.
Hard
That's a
Body.
water park.
I'm talking about like 80s, like movies
Oh,
the kids would sneak into.
summer school.
Summer School was tight. Chainsaw. All right.
All right, let's gamble.
This week, we're gambling on soon to be Brian's number one of the Vaulties. Inside Out 2.
Oh yes. Don't. Oh, you know what? I'm not emotionally prepared for this.
If this is bad, is Pixar done? If this gets like,
I don't think I'm
if this doesn't do well,
I don't think I'm prepared to live in a world where this is bad. That's right. That's a cry for help, everyone.
All right. I just watched this a couple days ago.
As did I.
For the probably the third time I've seen it. I'm on record as saying I don't think this is that good of a movie.
Oh, you're wrong.
I don't think it's as good as people make it out to be because of the shortcomings, which I stand by the shortcomings. That said, I think I appreciated the original Inside Out more than I ever have when I watched it a couple of days ago with the boy. The wife was in and out, but yeah, it got me like 3 or 4 times. And I kept getting choked up, and it's ridiculous and it's embarrassing. And I knew what was coming, and it still fucking got me, Brian.
Speaking of in and out, what was that? Were a bunch of tears in my house.
It's just Bing Bong. I don't think was executed quite the way that I.
I disagree.
And the
Perfect character.
fear was it's just off, like a total missed opportunity. I think having Bill Hader do your fear and like you just have him doing the slapstick stuff, and
that movie works on multiple levels. That is one like level that it works.
I know
on,
it's not fair for me to just
silliness for
Bill
the
Hader.
kids.
I didn't like that anger is voiced by a guy who pretends to be angry all the time. Like I don't. Some of it just kind of paint by numbers, and I think, and then it being like just a ripoff of what's his name,
Herman's Head.
That is not a valid criticism.
It absolutely is.
You might as well just say that A Bug's Life is a ripoff of Three Amigos.
What?
Why would absolutely
No,
they're mistaken. The performers are mistaken for real warriors.
No, I won't do that. No, because that was predates Three Amigos. All right, let's go. What are we doing here?
102 for this movie. Oh,
on
sorry.
3? On 3?
I don't know. No, I don't know what to do. All right, I have a number.
1.
Right.
Ready?
Yep.
1. Well, you got to count with me, because you always do. 1, 2,
85. 80?
89.
89.
Oh, Anderson's high on this one.
God damn, if I lose by going too low on this, I might be able to continue.
Pixar.
All right. Anderson guessed 89, Brian 85. There are currently no reviews.
Hey, you already got.
I feel like that's just the norm now.
Yeah, it kind of is. Since COVID, we don't need reviews. Like it's going. Our marketing is going to be strong enough. We don't need to be like, hey, look what critics are saying. You know what I mean?
What is
speaking of a bygone era? So I rewatched Fury Road recently. On the box art for the Blu-ray, it's got the Rotten Tomatoes score, and that was a very sort of 2010s thing to do. That was very peak Rotten Tomatoes of this got certified fresh. This means you got to see it. I feel like you see that less now.
Yeah, I think you do. So shows like this exposing Rotten Tomatoes for the corrupt sons of bitches that they are.
Yeah, we got you.
They're owned by Fandango. Right? Wait, who are they owned by? They're owned by one of the. It's not all on the up and up. That much I can tell you. All right, let's go. Come on. I feel like I'm digging myself a grave. I'm having nicotine fits. Let's get the fuck out of here.
How is it on the up and up?
I don't know. Let's do a deep dive on Rotten Tomatoes and the company that owns Rotten Tomatoes. Who is
There's
it?
that Geo email I'd love. That's a good Geo email.
I sent it to Avery.
But
yeah.
isn't it just an aggregator of critic scores?
Yeah,
critic reviews
owned by somebody, and they can monkey. There's monkeying going on.
But how?
They monkey.
Okay. All right, feels like simple math to me, but maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm naive.
Well, you know what they and this is not Rotten Tomatoes specific, but like a lot of these, like they'll show these movies and they'll invite people, critics to come see the movies. They'll give the critics, lavish them with gifts,
But
and
that's not new.
fry them with booze. I know I'm not saying that that's new, but there are ways to. I mean, like they can show you whatever score is higher, like the audience score or the
Well, that's Google.
There's monkeying. There's monkeying going on.
I don't like. I agree with
Look
you
it.
that I don't like that. Speaking of monkeying, look at this listener art from David Gulick.
Gulick always does good stuff. Hey, we need a topic, and also we gotta watch something with the listeners sooner than later.
Oh, it's true. All right, thanks, David Gulick, for the really accurate and true to life listener art. That's good stuff. Check that out.
And please send more, listener. We are running low, so please feel free to throw your hat in the ring. Even if you don't have an artistic bone in your body, I bet you could feed something to AI and get something good out of it.
I was going to say, in the era of AI now, all bets are off.
It's true. Yeah, just think of an idea for the show, throw it in.
So check out David Gulick's listener art over at AndersonBryan.com. Check out The Dead Ships. They are our featured artists this week over at AndersonandBryan.com. Facebook, The Film Vault. Twitter, The Film Vault. TikTok, Anderson and Bryan. Instagram, Anderson and Bryan. YouTube, The Film Vault Podcast. Thanks for all your support, guys. Some wishes of our Patreon. Check that out. If you wouldn't mind, patreon.com/The Film Vault. Sign up to be an assigner or a decider. Let us know what we have to see or discuss. Let us know what you thought about the coffee table. I'm dying to know. And what else?
That's it.
All right. So long, suckers. Until next time.
We do it for Van Gogh.